I'm safe only, even though we burn from the light I bleed. Does she bring me back? Not a heart attack could take away all the love I had for you. It bleeds for you, it bleeds again. Oh, you bring me to life. 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 Oh, you bring me to
Show me an opening in the clouds, and I'll take it, yeah. Reminding myself to just let go. Don't wonder how far I can fall. Don't look down, never fade out. And I just wanna be someone and never fall behind again. Just keep on moving on. Never look down, never fade out. Never fade out. Don't look down, never fade out. And I just wanna be someone and never fall behind again. Just keep on moving on. Never look down, never fade out. Never fade out. so far, but so far from close. It's so hard to find my destiny. Try not to drift apart, 'cause you'll be right back at the start. And I don't wanna keep on falling. I gotta stay recalling memories we've lost and found. Explain to me what it's all about.
Seems like I can't get away from the hot sun. Always night and never day. Even when I wash the floor, the dust still comes. Keep on hunting for the bread. No matter how lost, need no light, no spark. I'm in line mode. With my eyes closed, I can see in the dark. I'm a quiet storm. Far from calm, I know you feel me, brother. Seems like I can't get away from the hot sun. Always night, it's never day.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel.
These are those moments I don't think anybody else is going to forget.
Day 2 of IEM Beijing gets underway right now. We're here on the B stream, and it's going to be a pretty short day for us, Pili. We've only got the one game, but we are looking forward to it. Of course, my name is Elfish Guy. Joining me is Pili. It's been a pretty good day of Counter-Strike yesterday. The one we got to saw yesterday was pretty interesting. You know, we only had the one match that actually went to 3 maps, but everything else I feel like sort of went to plan. So let's talk a little bit about how things sort of panned out yesterday, Pili. We had a few matches that we saw here on the B stream, over on the A stream. Did you see anything that you sort of were a little surprised by? I think the main one to probably throw out in the mix is, interestingly, what's going to affect our game today is FaZe getting that pretty clean 2-0 over Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, not only FaZe as well, but also a pretty convincing win from 100 Thieves. Those would probably be the 2 most interesting sort of things that I would be looking at from the A stream, in my personal opinion. Over here on the B stream, we had some also one-sided stomps, but more so of an expected variety than you saw in those earlier games in the A stream.
Yeah, we didn't get the super close matchups. We got the Astralis and Vici and the Tylo and Vitality, both of which went to the team that you probably would expect it
in very convincing fashion.
So we'll take a look back across yesterday and see sort of how things went. For us on the B stream, you know, we started off obviously with Astralis and Vici, and as I've already alluded to, that was a pretty straightforward task for Astralis. They then went on to end up playing against 100 Thieves, who they also beat 2-0, so they're already in the semi-finals. That's the first team that's locked into the semi-finals here at Beijing, and I don't think there was really any surprises there. You know, that was kind of how things should have gone for Astralis, and they've done what they needed to do. Now, when we get into those semi-finals, and if they presumably do make that grand final, that's where I think the real work gets tough.
Yeah, I mean, they've dropped to that number 2 spot in the world. I don't know how much longer that's really going to be the case. I think some of that was predicated off the Decay and also very, very good performances from EG to be able to claim that number 1 spot. So if they have a really, really strong tournament here, which it looks like they're poised to do, I mean, sure, a really, really convincing win over Vici doesn't really tell you much about Astralis, but a convincing game, I would say, over 100 Thieves, who is probably in pretty good form. Sure, they only beat an ENCE that looked even mortal against Vici yesterday. Almost could have lost that series and been out before the playoffs. You know, it really gets you thinking about whether Astralis is a big contender to be able to take out the whole thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think actually it's interesting you talk about 100 Thieves and ENCE there, which we didn't get to see yesterday. That is a match that's playing again, so it'll be interesting to see if that sort of pans out in a similar direction to what we saw yesterday. I think that'll be a bit of a tell as to what 100 Thieves is looking like, and obviously for ENCE as well, how they're looking. Because if we were to go and look at the match that's actually on the replays right now, Vici and ENCE, and you know, you would look at that game and you would say ENCE actually was maybe a little bit worrisome. I mean, there was some concerning results there for them. It even looked like they were going to get 2-0 at one point. Finally, Sergey sort of started to step up then on train, and we were pushed through to that 3rd map, which they kind of stomped. They kind of got it together by the 3rd map. But for another 1 or 2 rounds there from Vici, that could well have been a 2-0.
That definitely could have been a 2-0. In fact, it should have been, and I think it pretty much says it all. If you go to Kaze's Twitter, where he's like, we literally threw away the most important rounds on train. They were up 13-11. They had the economy behind them. They lost multiple 1-versus-1 clutches. Then they rushed Inner, and Sergey had a massive play, and that was really the turning point for ENCE to just be able to eke out train, which was actually their map pick, and which they had difficulties against 100 Thieves on as well, despite a first dominant half. And then onto Mirage, it was business as usual for ENCE. You know, even though it's a map Vici's, you know, pretty familiar with, I would say that ENCE started to step up and actually play much better as a unit, much more consistent overall across the board. But not only did ENCE step up, I'd say Vici really did just sort of capitulate and die off in that 3rd map. They really didn't even turn up to that game whatsoever. There were some very big mistakes coming out.
Definitely feels like kind of classic Asian CS. You know, you get really close, you get so close to that mark, then you just falter, and from there it sort of just falls to bits for Vici, and that's exactly what we saw last night. That is not a factor though anymore. If we take a look at some of our standings for the first couple of matches that we saw from Group A, you're going to see obviously Astralis got the 2-0 yesterday, which means they're through to the semi-final. ENCE and 100 Thieves once again are going to play off against each other for another one of those spots, and obviously Vici are 0-2, which means they're out. It's the GSL format, so you really go 0-2 or 2-0. And you get the reward that whichever one of those 2 would give you. In the case of Vici, unfortunately, it's a bit more of a wooden spoon prize than anything else. I don't think that group has necessarily panned out any differently to what we might have expected it to. I think probably we're going to see 100 Thieves go through against ENCE. I've seen no reason to predict that 100 Thieves shouldn't be able to beat ENCE again. Even yesterday, I wasn't really sold on what I saw from ENCE against Vici. And 100 Thieves obviously seem to be in pretty decent form there, being able to come back in at least the 2nd map against ENCE as well. It seems like everything's sort of working for them at the moment. But if they do get to the semi-finals, again, that is, I think, the real task then for 100 Thieves. You know, these matches against Vici and Ents and whatever are not that big of a deal for them.
Yeah, look, Ents played 5 maps yesterday. Across those entire 5 maps, they maybe only had 3 halves where they even looked like a top 10 team in the world. They are a top 15 team in the world at the moment. The rest of the halves, they really struggled through. You know, they got 16-3'd by 100 Thieves, and then through an 11-4 half to a 16-13 victory for 100 Thieves, and then in 2 of the maps almost lost to Vici. So, look, if they can play that one half of Train that they played really well, the T side of Train, if they can play a good Mirage game that we saw from them in terms of Ents, they can definitely take it to 100 Thieves. But if they're going to not be anywhere close to that form, which across the larger sample size of halves that we've seen from them across this tournament, then they're not going to be able to deal with 100 Thieves. I think they're playing a little bit better at the moment.
All right, enough discussion about Group A. Let's touch on Group B as well. We do have a game coming up, so let's not mess around too long. FaZe, Vitality, both going 1-0. Probably a little unexpected. I mean, we definitely would have said Vitality should go through against Tyloo, which they did. But Evil Geniuses definitely were the call from the majority of pundits. Even the guys over in Beijing, I was watching the Analyst Desk segment this morning of that game, and they were both sort of on the hype train for Evil Geniuses. I think it was Pimp and Blair. Both were predicting EG, and then obviously quite surprisingly to see FaZe come up with the 1-0. And by all accounts, it was FaZe playing really well. You know, this wasn't just Evil Geniuses kind of missing the mark or anything like that. They sort of performed about as you would expect them to, but FaZe sort of just stepped up. Nico, Coldzera having pretty phenomenal games, which is, I guess, a recipe for success for a roster like that.
100%. So it's going to be interesting to see whether FaZe can sort of keep that lightning in the bottle sort of captured, and they're going to be able to take that through and bring the consistency that they need to. Because FaZe is notoriously throughout all the iterations of their roster a little bit more of a streaky team in terms of the hot form that they bring from time to time. It's just about how long can they keep that going for? How long can all of these sort of moving parts in terms of all the star players and talent you've got on the roster fit into a system that you can sort of bring forward and actually take into certain games and win them, even against some of the best teams in the world like EG.
Well, one more thing that we do need to touch on as well is the other side of what happened there in Group A, and that's actually going to be happening on the mainstream today. So we'll take a look at the schedule that we're going to get for those mainstream matches. Pilly, obviously, we look to the likes of Tyloo and Evil Geniuses as that first map. So while we're watching the winners match for this group, the A stream is actually going to be watching the losers match. So we've got FaZe Vitality, which is a great one to watch. That'll be one for the teams going through to the semi-final winner of that. But for the A stream, as you can see here on the schedule, they've got that losers match, which is EG and Tyloo, and the team that does lose that is gone. It's basically what we saw from Ents and Vici last night. You know, we're a little bit behind when it comes to this group. Obviously, they haven't played as many games. So, look, that looks pretty cut and dry for EG. You know, I think that's a pretty easy one to bounce back in. Tyloo were not all that impressive yesterday against Vitality. They did show a little bit, but probably not enough to make you think that they can beat EG.
Yeah, look, EG's shown us a couple of times at these international tournaments that they can have a rough opening game and sort of put the pieces together, and all of a sudden they're in the grand final, if not winning the event. So you can't really count them out. They probably, from day to day, will just get better and better. And also, it's pretty hard to say that them losing to FaZe in a fashion like that is going to be something that necessarily repeats itself, particularly against a team that's not even looking nearly as dangerous as FaZe is at the moment. You know, you look at Tyloo, they're all over the place. They in a couple of rounds look pretty dangerous against Vitality, and I was thinking, hey man, they're up 4-0, they're up 4-1, maybe they can make something happen, but then they kind of just got crushed.
Well, the issue that I can see for this kind of a team now for EG is that because they've lost that first match, it means that they can't actually qualify in first seed out of this group.
Yeah.
So if they do end up coming out of this group, they will go through against Astralis, which is not an easy task either, going into the semi-final. So you really would have wanted to take whatever FaZe or Vitality's position is going to be on the other side of the bracket, and you'd be then facing either Ents or 100 Thieves, which to me feels like a much easier bracket run than what you'd get going up against Astralis, and might actually be a sort of a death sentence in terms of getting knocked out in the semi-finals here, as opposed to, in my mind, what would look like a pretty straightforward run through to the grand final.
Yeah, potentially. The thing with EG, I almost feel like, is if they're a bit more prepared or a bit more familiar with an opponent, they're going to have a much better run of things against them. So I imagine that they're probably going to perform better against an Astralis than they did against FaZe, because I think FaZe is a team that at the moment has sort of fallen out of favour. So I don't feel like a lot of teams are really looking at them and trying to anti-strat them or anything like that. I mean, how can you? They're still coming up with things. They're still sort of working on their team play. So when they sort of get things together, that's when they earn that respect of having teams really start to look at them and anti-strat them a little bit more. And that's, I think, a big strength of a team like EG that has such an extensive coaching and support staff behind them, and a very, very experienced in-game leader as well.
All right, let's talk about our first match for today as well, Pilly, because that is going to be an important one. FaZe and I think they're looking really, really good at the moment. They've obviously played that match yesterday. They had the 2-0 over Evil Geniuses. They've won the most recent Blast tournament. Again, you sort of touched on that yesterday night, said that's not as big of a deal. You're not going to put as much weight in that Blast victory for FaZe. But if they can back it up today and throughout the rest of this tournament here in Beijing, you are going to be seeing a lot of people start talking about FaZe.
100%. I mean, this is another top 5 team. They're literally doing this on hard mode. They're EG straight into Vitality. If they're winning these games convincingly, consistently, and they also took away that Blast win as well, then you're really starting to look at FaZe, and people are starting to have those, exclamation marks in their heads, like, wow, this is actually a team that's starting to come back into some form. I suppose you'd have to still start to look towards the playoffs, but putting themselves in a spot where they can potentially just top 4 this tournament automatically from this game, that could be a little bit easier for them.
All right, well, FaZe obviously have quite a few bits of firepower in their back pocket that they're available to use, and both of those, or the ones that I'm at least going to touch on here, did step up yesterday. Nico had a fantastic performance by all accounts, and the same for coldzera. So when those two guys are really sort of stepping up for that roster, I mean, there doesn't really seem to be a world in which they can lose a match. Do you think that's going to be necessary today against Vitality? I mean, we saw yesterday, Vitality, I didn't think looked amazing per se. So going into this, I'm sort of favoring actually FaZe in this matchup, but is it going to need to be peak FaZe, or is it just going to be cruisy FaZe that can get through Vitality? Is it going to be that kind of an easy situation for FaZe, or is there a little bit more that they need to work on?
I think there's a little bit more than they need to work on. The thing that I always just reserve judgment when I watch this FaZe roster is that they don't have a primary AWP to sort of duel it out against ZywOo. They have people sort of filling the AWP role. I literally see 3 to 4 different people using the AWP from time to time, whether it's, usually Brokey or Olaf Meister, and then sometimes you'll even see Cold pick it up. Sometimes I've seen Nico pick it up from round to round. So it's just a little bit all over the place with the AWP situation. They don't really have a consistent, standard primary AWPer. And when you got ZywOo, like one of the best AWPers in the world, if not the best AWPer in the world, that definitely leaves gaps open in your game if you're not, making sure you use the utility and keeping the economy nice and low and neutralizing the fact that he can use that AWP to his success. So that's definitely going to be an interesting factor, as well as the fact is, like, how consistent can these players be? I think Nico was a pillar of consistency for most of his career, but now that he's taken on these extra responsibilities, he's maybe shifting his role around a little bit to be a bit more supportive and accommodate for other people, and having to in-game lead and stuff like that. How much is that going to affect his consistency? We've seen from time to time he just will go like 0-8 and then completely turn it around. So it's like, is he going to have those impactful rounds as much for FaZe, or is he going to be going a little bit absent in 1 or 2 of these maps?
All right, well, enough about FaZe as well. We do have to talk a bit about Vitality. I know you sort of touched a little bit on ZywOo, and yesterday, look, ZywOo was looking phenomenal as well. But RPK, I thought, had a pretty decent performance towards the end of the series against Tyloo on Dust 2, sort of really finishing it off strong. Apex and Alex, for me, were the other 2 standouts on the roster. So I think really, across the board, it did seem like a pretty decent team effort from Vitality. It wasn't sort of 1 or 2 leading from the front.
Yeah, but you have to say, they took Shox into this roster to be able to get, an extra source of firepower in that regard. And, he's definitely going to have to step up and put some numbers in here against a team like FaZe, because that's where it's really going to come down to. There's no doubt in my mind that I genuinely think that Vitality is going to be a little bit ahead in terms of the tactics and the overall cohesion and the strategy, even though FaZe has really been working on that aspect of their game quite a lot. I still think they probably have the edge in that regard. It's just a question of, are these Vitality, as you put it, you put forward FaZe as sort of the more cruisy of the two. Personally, that's how I see Vitality. I see Vitality with a bunch of players that they can go 15 for 15 and they can just do good enough while ZywOo's, dropping bombs. But the real difference is when Alex has a really, really good game and steps up and makes some impactful kills, or if Apex is going off in those entry capacities or something like that. If RPK is having a good game, he's usually holding down the bomb sites in those anchor roles. It's different players stepping up in different circumstances that can bring huge impact to this Vitality roster. But if none of them do that extra thing, if Shox is getting the clutches, etc., then that's going to be a little bit more of a flat Vitality that might not be able to take it against a really, really hot streak FaZe that we're looking at now.
Well, that's the real question for me, is it? Is it going to be the hot streak FaZe, or is it going to be Vitality able to pick up the win here today? We're going to dive straight into Nuke. Looks like we're already underway with the pistol round. ZywOo sitting here in the cutout behind Vent does get knocked over by coldzera, which prompts Apex to drop down. No idea that coldzera was sitting behind the silos, and now it's a 2v1 for Shox.
See what he's going to go for in this round. Doesn't have a kit available to him, so he's just going to flank through that ramp room. You do see the bomb dropped in towards lower, while Rain just mines this Vent. We'll definitely have a duel with Shox, but this is an opportunity for Shox to make this a 1v1. Rain does just get away in time, though, so He's going to make his way down the vent. Does make noise, though. Runs straight into Rain, and that's all she wrote. Burst fire at that close range. What can you really do? Nice little pistol for FaZe, who I'm assuming probably picked a Nuke here. I mean, we didn't get to see the vetoes, so I'm just going to double check on that one now.
I've got it. I'm going to get it in a second for you, Billy.
Okay.
Yeah.
No worries.
It's not on HLTV yet, but I'll be told, and I will
FaZe have been
communicate.
picking Nuke a lot, so I'm assuming that this is probably their
Well,
pick.
we can see in the top left there, they've got the FaZe pick on the map, so I would have to make the assumption that
And
that
they're
is
starting
correct.
on the T side.
Yes, yes. And they've started well. They've got the pistol round. That's exactly how you want to kick things off on Nuke.
100%, you know, that's going to get their economy kick-started. That's going to really keep Vitality in check and potentially get Zaiwu that AWP a little bit quicker. But this is going pretty well for Vitality. It's a 2 for 2 so far, and they have actually made their way down the vent, which is going to give them a lot more retake potential in through decon and windows.
All right, Zaiwu, let's see if he can do anything going out of the smoke here. If he indeed does end up coming out of the smoke, which for now he hasn't. It's onto RPK. Actually might be able to get coldzera there, but elects not to. As coldzera takes his head off, Brokey there, finishing things off too. So pretty straightforward for FaZe. They do keep the 2 rifles alive, which is nice to see. And for Vitality, obviously, it's another round they're going to have to play catch up with. I will just update everyone. The map pool here is going to be Nuke, choice by FaZe. Vitality chose Overpass, and Inferno being the 3rd map in the pool.
I like the choice of Overpass there for Vitality. That's going to go a little bit wider on the map pool and maybe not a map that FaZe can sort of have as many reps on potentially, although, I mean, going towards Nuke is already a pretty big departure from the old FaZe roster, who didn't really play this map too much, and when they did, they were trying to add it into their map pool with very, very limited success, if any success at all. But now that seems to be a completely different case, because lately they've been looking really damn good on Nuke here. And maybe they'll surprise us on Overpass as well, having put work into that with this new roster, potentially.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one for Vitality. Probably wouldn't have expected to see the Overpass pick. So let's find out what they're going to be able to throw at FaZe here. Obviously not in this round though. Zaiwu, just the pistol there. Not going to get too much done, but RPK at least does hit the headshot onto Rain with the Deagle. So it's a 4v4. I don't think the gun's going to be retrievable right now for Vitality. FaZe have quite a congregation of members over there.
Every kill that Vitality can get, though, in this situation is going to keep FaZe's economy in check.
FaZe on the T side, though. Oh, well, it's starting to get a little expensive, you know? I was going to
Yeah.
say, it's not too bad if they
kill
lose 1 or
here,
2
if
guns.
Nico doesn't check. There you go, beautiful. Clears out the angle. All the I's dotted and T's crossed.
That's
Oh
a
my god,
great shot.
RPK. What a start to the game from the man.
6
tank
and 2.
mode.
And he's lost pistol and has faced 2 anti-ecos. And he's 6 and 2. Can you believe that?
It's crazy. Putting in all the numbers. And this is exactly what you said. Hold on,
where
wait
was
a
that from?
second.
Shocks! Oh! He was up on heaven and RPK gets up there as well. And they've actually won the round.
Oh, it's an
Vitality.
upset.
Like, you got to wonder where on earth that has come from.
It's just Shocks hiding in the rafters. Finds the perfect timing. RPK multi-fragging. Have to say, a bit curious for Brokey to take that re-peek straight onto ramp, but at the same time, you're going up against a pistol. Might have wanted to clean that one up a little bit cleaner before RPK can potentially body shot you 3 times at that distance with the dig, but couldn't get it done in the end, and follows it up with another sharp shot, and all of a sudden, you know, RPK's in tank mode. He's going to steamroll your whole team, and FaZe, they're going to have to force up into this one. 2 Kriegs. Can get 3 pistols and a couple of grenades, and all of a sudden you're cooking. Could definitely come away with the win here on FaZe. I mean, you talk about a roster where you've got literally 5 players who can all pop off and get an impactful 3 or 4K. If only 2 of them have Kriegs, that's, you know, surplus requirements. Only one of them needs a Krieg, technically. If all goes to plan. Don't know if Vitality's going to let that happen. And it does look like they're taking this round relatively seriously, because Zaiwu's got himself an AWP. Pretty sure if they were not expecting a force, he would have purchased something else.
Let's see what Nico's going to be able to do with that SG. Same for Brokey, of course. So a bit of utility used on outer from FaZe, but they're not particularly interested in that area of the map. They're heading towards inner.
They're going to take this really simply, and probably just a straight contact out ramp. Out they go. Zaiwu's a bit out of position here.
Let's get back down okay. He's got help from Shocks. Now control of ramp for FaZe as they start to make their way up to heaven. RPK will be watching that, and he is the danger man in this kind of a situation for FaZe. He's been tapping heads all day long, even yesterday. So for FaZe, they slow things down a little bit. They have a lot of map control here, but what are they going to do with it?
They're waiting for Nico to come in through door or hut and just find that opening so that they can explode out in towards upper. There is so many players for Vitality here.
coldzera's grabbed one. Shock's in a position to make something happen. A great flashbang. ZywOo and RBK have combined on the A bomb site, but Apex falls as well. And Nico, he's just too surrounded by those Vitality players. FaZe put in a good shout there, a good attempt, but just not able to break through that wall.
Yeah, so that's FaZe going to be put into the 2K margin where they will have to take a bit of a save here. Probably can't upgrade too many of the pistols, although Nico, who had a little bit more cash than everybody else, does get himself a Deagle. And it's not too bad of a purchase in this scenario. You can see Vitality, everyone's a little bit on the poor side except for old mate RPK, who did actually get numerous kills with the Deagle in the second round and then also grabbed himself an extra rifle, so he's got a little bit more cash than everybody else. And let's see what FaZe are going to do. No quick plays to try and get a bomb plant down, which would help them with their utility in the following round. Instead, it's just slow and steady. Probably just waiting for Nico to try to create some kind of an opening. If he does go down, someone else can pick up his Deagle, and there's any number of players on this FaZe roster who can use a Deagle to great effect.
So far, Vitality not really giving them those opportunities.
Yeah, they're just biding their time. Haven't really burned too much utility, honestly. That's something you'll see. It's a little bit different between some of these better teams with a bit more experience. Oh my god. That's a great shot.
Well, Apex now has to take that challenge, and with the A1S, maybe a little difficult if they start streaming on in there. ZywOo not really going to be able to help him out here unless FaZe decides to swing for some reason, and Apex will back his way into the A bomb site. So ZywOo does end up picking up one of the kills on Terrain, has helped things out quite substantially. Equalizes the numbers. And Apex, he's got so many angles to watch here. Perhaps better off just tucking himself in the cutout here, which it looks like he's going in the direction of FaZe, however. Walking on outer, and that is exactly where Vitality is waiting. Olof gets his first kill on the board after 5 rounds, but not really enough to do too much. Not to trouble the scorers here of Vitality. Up 3-2 now, and starting to build the economy a little bit here on the CT side.
With only a Deagle invested though, 2 kills taken away from Vitality, who were already pretty poor before that round even ever kicked off. They're definitely going to be down in the dumps in terms of the money, and that means that FaZe can buy up here, get a fair bit of utility, maybe not all the bells and whistles they're looking for, and probably not an AWP. Olofmeister has to go down to a Mac 10, but this is still a very resettable Vitality. Alex in particular, a little bit lower on the cash. Quick one straight down the vent from Olofmeister. That's going to be a very key position early on in this round. You actually see ZywOo down and lower right now. Looks like he's quite aware of that, and Shocks as well.
At the moment, not paying too much heed to Olofmeister, although ZywOo is now watching the angle.
They've gone for a full retake on lower, which is why you see some aggressive positioning in towards lobby here. They're trying to find some kind of information, try to find a pick, because they have essentially just lost that lower control. And now you see the smoke on outside, try and send Nico across in towards Secret. Is going to add another dimension to that push and give FaZe an opportunity to maybe end this round by contacting ramp. That's going to be a nice deflection of the aggression by Rain. You can see Vitality, they know they've sort of lost control here.
ZywOo, though, is going to start to peg things back a little bit if he can find Olofmeister, which is not an easy task. That's really going to open up a little bit for Vitality. A quick push from Apex, knows that he has to do something, and has indeed. It's Brokey to go down.
And now you see the difference from Vitality. You know, they did lose that lower control, and you see them get so active, try to find some information, try to find a pick on the map. But as soon as they get that man advantage, it's back into a more defensive formation, just sitting on that upper bomb site, trusting the crossfire. Obviously, a lot of emphasis on ZywOo just hiding in lower here with the AWP. But where's FaZe Clan go at this point? Looking like they're regrouping in towards lobby. It's either one of two things. It's a contact out ramp and meet up with Olofmeister in lower, or it's going to be Olof flying up that vent and trying to hit that upper bomb site. Looks like the latter.
Oh, is it Alex flying down the vent? Well, it certainly is. Very quickly indeed as Olofmeister takes his head off. And now with 10 seconds on the clock, FaZe have to make their move. Apex falls RPK though. Does hold strong, and Nico won't be able to get the bomb down here. So ZywOo, all he has to do is hide. Nico can't win the round. That's 4 up for Vitality. It's an expensive round, but it's a round nonetheless.
It's great work there from FaZe, though, to keep Vitality honest. Keen to see if they are going to invest in a round like this, considering they had one player surviving who won't get any money. They even had some players who could potentially purchase some creeks and armor. would be a similar sort of buy to what you saw in the second round. And it is one that could still definitely damage the economy of Vitality here. There you go. They will purchase up. It's going to be 3 Kriegs, 2 SMGs. Do have Vitality very low on cash here. Definitely resettable. It's the fast smokes on outside.
Yeah, Shox in a great position here with the XM. He gets the first. Hides back away through the smoke. Olaf Meister might be in a dangerous position there, but
How has he got away with that? Excuse me?
yeah, I don't know. No one from FaZe even decided to fire a shot in that smoke, so
They just let that happen. He just dove in,
dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge.
just kills Rain for free, and then he pieces it.
Yeah. ZywOo's going to post on the angle now as well, and that is not looking good for FaZe at all. If you're just going to run straight at ZywOo without dealing with him, obviously, we'll see how it turns out for you. Shox now elects to take the peak, and 15 HP for Brokey at least is able to trade him back down. Still, the numbers are depleting, though, for Vitality. Brokey might have something to say about it, though. Gets ZywOo down low, can't finish him off, and not expecting the peak. And
Why
it's
would
all
you?
onto Nico.
You've tagged him to 6 HP. Only ZywOo re-peaks with the CZ there.
Yeah.
He knows he's good enough to do it.
Nico hasn't really had much of an impact on this round at all. He did take control of Secret. ZywOo's waiting for him.
You can't catch him off. He's just too clued on.
Yeah.
That was a ridiculous round that FaZe lost that in. Just how does Shox go straight through the smoke with an XM, kill someone for free, and get away with it? I don't understand. Does not compute.
7 rounds in and already 2 tactical pauses called by FaZe as well. Obviously, a lot to talk about.
FaZe have been front running in a lot of these games that they've been winning, I will say. And I have to put it out there. How are they going to deal with, a Vitality that's getting in their face, being disruptive? Shox is just running in, no respect with that XM. You see Vitality very, very active on the CT side. You can see as soon as they lose some map control that's important to them, they get in there and they start to make some pushes, look for some information, look for some duels, and it hasn't really seemed like FaZe has been too ready for that. It seems like they're pretty used to setting the pace, and apart from Rain dealing with that aggression the first time around, they haven't really been too fantastic at making it happen.
Not a lot to play with here for FaZe. Pistols and armor. Not a huge amount of presence, though, on outer for Vitality, which is where FaZe is.
Shox is, again, in radio room.
This time, not with an XM, unfortunately. Although...
Another gun that can make lots of cash.
Indeed.
Is the wall of smoke on outer. You can see Alex is already down in lower. He's dropped the vent. He's got a Molotov to be able to stop the push down.
I think ZywOo's going to get a pick here.
Potentially. So, yeah, there you go. Could be a drop down the vent as well to support Alex out, but he's not going to really need it until he jump spots someone or drops that incendiary.
And that's so much information, though, for Vitality. They've seen everyone going down, so they'll be well accustomed to what they need to be doing here. Alex waiting for Nico, spots the head. And there's the jump spot as well, getting the information that the rest of the 3 players are down. Vitality, they're just not doing a whole lot, and that's fine, right? FaZe are the ones that have to push the issue here, and they just can't push the issue. Now 2 players that they have to deal with in control room. Shox looking to make some cash, but in fact, Brokey and coldzera able to find one apiece. Again, making it at least a little bit of a damaging round for Vitality, but it's still probably going to be around anyway.
As soon as they make a move, though, it's just a retake straight on the windows. Nice dink onto ZywOo, but unless they can follow it up, it's not going to be a kill, and that's the end of the round. Nice reaction from Vitality. They force the push into the windows. As soon as FaZe goes and takes the territory there, it's the double drop down the vent, which essentially sets you up in a situation where you can control where FaZe can and can't go with that player in the vent. You can set up a player in decon to crossfire with ZywOo on ramp, and when you need to put down the bomb on the T side, down in lower there, you're not going to be able to do so with a crossfire like that. Alright, another proper buy round here for FaZe. See what they're going to make of it. Nice nade onto Nico very, very early on. Alex always so good with that utility. Again, it's another early drop down lower from ZywOo. Going to get active over towards this secret area. It's going to be surely a duel between him and Nico.
Is ZywOo going to keep peeking? Does he keep the progression going? Doesn't look like it. Quite content just to chill for the moment.
I mean, FaZe is not really making any tells anywhere. They've got the one player spamming away in lobby, but that's it. The rest of the map is quiet. There's been no utility expended on outside except for that initial smoke to send Nico across to the T-red there. So now the Molotov into secret to push Daiwu off the line. The wall of smoke to allow Nico to cross. He's going to be backed up by Cold as well. And there's the opener for ZywOo. Gets away with it scot-free.
This has been a great game so far from ZywOo. Hasn't been necessarily flashy.
Surely this is the Annex split now then. And there you go. Nice opening from Brokey as well.
Well, RPK goes down, and he has been a danger man on the A-bomb site. The rest of the job falls now on the shoulders of Apex. Alex there potentially to back him up, but Rain goes down early. And now for FaZe, much more work to be done. Apex starts to double down, shocks up from the vent. But Olafmeister starting to come alive here. But again, not for too long. It's now just Brokey who does get down the vent and might, as a result, get a bomb plant, but still be in a 1v2.
He's got time on his side. He's going to put down the bomb nice and quickly, but ZywOo already hot on his heels, straight into decon. Takes
Really
the
open
windows.
plan.
This is a position where he can get himself 2 one-on-ones if Vitality isn't dotting their I's or crossing their T's correctly.
That'll be what Brokey's looking for. Does get the first, but all the shots just go straight into the wall.
Opportunity missed, and even if he does actually find that one-on-one for Apex, you can see ZywOo's got the smoke that he can drop on the bomb. From that point, you know, is Brokey going to be able to spam that position reliably with how many different spots he can defuse in that plant position? Probably not. And that's not even guaranteeing that ZywOo necessarily has to stick the plant. So, was a pretty high percentage, even if it did come down to that one-on-one for Vitality to come away with that. Regardless, pretty good effort from FaZe Clan. Considering they lost the opening duel, I love how decisive they were in the mid-round. As soon as they lose that pick right here onto Nico, they instantly just adjust and go straight into an Annex split. Brokey takes matters into his own hands, finds a nice opening, and they've put themselves in a position where the round still was winnable. Sure, they didn't take it, but from a disadvantageous situation, they put themselves in a position where they could have made it happen.
Wow, that's
Okay.
the start. I don't know where Olafmeister and Rain have gotten those kills. That one from Nico straight through a smoke.
I think that was Vitality. They're trying to mix things up. They have the money to back it up, and they did go for that aggression on outside, but instantly punished by a bunch of different players with creeps just posted, waiting for that aggression to come out. That's where FaZe has definitely made up for the one or two times that they haven't punished the aggression effectively enough. Now you can just see FaZe very patient, waiting for a mistake out of Vitality. They're well aware of the huge advantage that they've got at this point. They want to keep as many guns alive as possible because their money's still a little bit on the fragile side. So they're just waiting for Vitality to push and make this round any easier than it already is for FaZe to win. All these players just holding while Nico's looking for information.
Ooh.
There's the push into lobby.
RPK really needed to get 2 players there for this round to be doable. But in a 1v3, you don't really back shocks here at all.
Yeah, Nico's getting a ton of information. He's just going to make his way into heaven. You can see the smoke being thrown down into lower. It's not necessarily the committal from Brokey. He's just trying to make noise to force the rotation out of shocks. And I think he's read it perfectly.
Certainly has. It's 3-7. Another one on the board for FaZe, finally as well. That was 7 in a row for Vitality, and now finally a bit of respite for FaZe.
So there you go, Vitality trying to mix things up. That's often what you will see some of these CT teams do. A lot of people have that mentality of, hey, we're already ahead, why not just keep doing what's working? You can see Vitality, they're trying to stay a step ahead of FaZe on their T side by saying, look, we have money to play with in the bank, why not throw something a little bit different in there on outside?
Well, speaking of something a little bit different, double AWP set up here for ZywOo and Shox now. Shox was having a pretty decent day with the AWP yesterday as well, so I don't necessarily disagree with this choice.
RPK's in tank mode, man. Just quietly, you know, plugging away. He's really hitting everything today, and that's a massive, massive difference maker for Vitality. This man is just a brick wall on the CT side sometime, and it hasn't really been necessarily just a brick wall, you know, one-dimensional approach, a passive RPK sits on a bomb site. This man's been pushing pretty regularly for Vitality through hut into lobby and finding the kills pretty consistently.
Not this round, at least not yet. There is a couple of shots being exchanged. RPK's on 6 HP, continues to peak. Didn't really have anywhere to go, and now Nico looks to push the issue. A nice flash from Coldzera, and Nico is single-handedly opening up the A bomb site. All of a sudden, Shox is the last alive. Money is cooked now for Vitality.
Absolutely.
And he's lost the AWP.
It's going to be probably just a single eco, especially with how much money Apex has in the bank there. He can be the saver for ZywOo's AWP while the rest of the lads try to put together whatever they can. But even if they buy up into the next one, Vitality, their money's not going to be fantastic. And FaZe, after building up a little bit of a loss bonus and stringing some rounds together, they're starting to put together some serious cash to be able to buy out the rest of this half.
Maybe it took FaZe a little while to wake up today, but now that they're awake, the beast has awoken.
I mean, that's the thing that we say so often when we're watching these Asian CS games. Is just like, okay, if they win 2 gun rounds back to back, then they can actually reset their opponents and get back into the game. And it almost never happens because no one's consistent enough to make that happen.
Yeah.
FaZe, that's just 2 really solid T rounds back to back, and that's got them straight back in the game and forced Vitality on a reset. Sure, one of those was Vitality getting pretty aggressive and trying to mix it up and pretty much feeding the kills to FaZe, but the second one, they definitely earned that. Just some nice entries in towards that upper bomb site and some great supportive utility there from coldzera.
Pistols only for Vitality now. Apex, I thought, might have a chance with that Deagle, but case in point, Rain just obliterates him as soon as he walks around that corner. Seems like in the last few rounds, I mean, the momentum has certainly shifted back in the favor of FaZe, and there's just nothing to be done for Vitality.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're even moving forward into the next round where Apex has spent quite a bit of cash, so there's not going to be that solid AWP buyer on that team. If they want to go for it, maybe it's going to have to be a glass cannon or something like that from Vitality. So the next buy, you know, it's going to be a buy. It's going to be rifles. It's going to be a lot of the things that you want to see on a buy, but you're going to be missing the kits, which might hurt them in the late round probably. You're going to be missing some incendiaries, which can potentially shut down some faster plays from FaZe, which we haven't seen yet. Wouldn't be surprised to see them mix up the pace and go for something like that. And, you know, moving forward, once FaZe gets his 5th round, potentially faces a weaker sort of buy in the next one, they can probably lock that one down. I would be saying, because they're looking pretty impressive at the moment. They're really building up the momentum. That's them in making a really solid half of this on the T side of Nuke. And that's what we saw these EG games looking like. Like the start of that Nuke game against EG, it was back and forth. EG even won that second round bye against FaZe, and they were able to, you know, put up some rounds and really trade things back and forth and make some big plays. But once FaZe got rolling, it seemed like you couldn't stop them. And I think that's what we're starting to see now. They're starting to power up.
Well, first tactical timeout for Vitality. So it's about time, isn't it, really?
There's no real money for an AWP. That's the thing. If Apex hadn't gone down to 2.4k or whatever it was in that previous round, he had 3.7 at the start of that one. That's like 1,300 difference. That's easily enough to drop ZywOo an AWP in this round if you would have wanted it. But he made the decision not to go for that.
Yeah.
So Vitality's not going to have the access to that.
Well, they have a bit to discuss then, don't they? Like, what are we actually going to do in this round with only the rifles, lacking a bit of the utility, which you've already alluded to in the last round?
Not a single kit.
1 incendiary nade. Yeah, they've all got smokes. Majority of them have flashes, but when you compare it to what FaZe is running with here, it's not looking too pretty for Vitality. And this would be the perfect round for FaZe to just literally send it right into the A site, do whatever they want.
Potentially, yeah, because I mean, this is the only Molotov. There it goes. 1 minute 46, it's gone out, it's been put out. Olaf's gone straight down the fence. He has copped a dink, but still he's made it down there. And just the fact that he gets down there causes the rotation. It causes Shox to have to go straight off of the ramp. Forces the CTs to spread a little bit thinner. If already they didn't have enough factors going against them, no AWP, no kits, they're running out of utility already, and it's only 1 minute and 30. They only have a couple more pieces of utility that they can potentially use here. And FaZe is going to keep it simple. Looks like the wall of smoke's on outside. They're just going to meet up with Olaf, but that's a massive impact play by Shox. He cleans out that extra player down towards lower, and that's made FaZe potentially second guess themselves. You can see Brokey going back towards lobby now. Looks like FaZe is going to try to sneak through outside, but ZywOo in the perfect spot.
Doesn't need an AWP to make a difference here. Nico with his back turned. ZywOo can't actually double down. Rain Punch just gets the better of him there. Rain to finish it off. So FaZe do have a numbers disadvantage.
Yeah, it's going to be straight into this Annex split, or potentially try to pressure Heaven and pinch uppers from a couple different angles. Alex is actually getting active now to meet up with Shox to pinch on outside and clear out coldzera potentially.
Nope, coldzera's going to clean him out. RPK, though, in the meanwhile, did get Brokey. So that could have been the moment for FaZe. If Brokey survives, you put it back to a 3v3. You still have 30 seconds to play with. But now they have to
look at Apex.
Run hell for leather. Apex is going to get one. Rain does get trading. Not sure if he's going to be able to get the bomb down here, though, because Alex, rather, is already down on the bomb site. Yeah, that'll be too easy to finish things off. 8 up for Vitality. I mean, it's not the best of CT halves just yet for Vitality, but if they can bring this to 10, they'll probably end up being pretty happy.
I don't know if they can bring it to 10 is the thing, because, you know, they've reduced their loss bonus just a little bit there. They're going to have to repurchase into that round. Sure, they do have the 2 creeps that they're able to pick up at the end of that, which is, yeah, going to definitely help them in certain positions, like on outside. You don't want to give Zywoo a Krieg. In fact, they're not going to give him a Krieg, which I don't really like that, to be honest. I'd like to see him with the Krieg on outside rather than Alex holding onto it. But depends.
Regardless, a faster play this time from FaZe. We were waiting to see when it was going to come, and now we get to find out whether it'll work. Certainly doesn't seem like it has. Vitality just shutting them out of the A-bomb site. Olofmeister, the last alive here, trying to do as much damage as he possibly can, which could be impactful, you know, if he gets a few more guns out of the picture here. Vitality do have a pretty low economy. Looks like 3 should survive for Vitality, and will.
But FaZe, they've done enough heavy lifting in terms of having that loss bonus and putting together some rounds right when their loss bonus was really peaking, to the point where they just have had money for the rest of the half. So they're going to be able to get another buy round here. I have to say, though, Jordan, I didn't believe that Vitality were going to bring it back in the last couple of rounds here, but they're really looking solid to go through and grab that 10th round. They've got, how many Kriegs is that? 3 Kriegs and 2 M4s. It's a pretty strong buy here against FaZe.
Lots of kits, lots of utility as well. Not expecting to see FaZe do anything too quick this round. They've used that 1 trump card already. Hasn't worked for them. So it's back to the default, back to the standard for FaZe.
Yeah, I think FaZe have looked a little bit less decisive than they may have needed to in some of these late rounds, really running down the clock to the last 30 seconds time and time again. To be fair, they've been put in some pretty difficult positions by Vitality, just constantly getting in their face and changing up their setups. Here we go. Again, it's going to be the attempt at sending Nico across to lower, who's already copped a little bit of damage, and that's prompted the rotate out of Alex, who has got the smoke and the Molotov to be able to delay any kind of a push through lowers.
Looks like Nico should get across okay. Never mind, I lie. Alex is waiting there, and Apex to help out as well. So this has not gone well for FaZe at all.
It's really falling apart for them, and this crossfire is going to make it any easier towards Annex.
Zywoo ready and waiting. Apex looks away at the wrong time, but again, it doesn't matter. The crossfire is too strong for Vitality. 10-5 is where they're going to net themselves at the end of the half. The big question of whether or not that is going to be enough, Pili, we do have to wait and see. FaZe with 5, what do you reckon?
I don't know, I feel like Vitality, there was definitely some rounds where they tried to change things up and FaZe capitalised on it, but overall they were the much more solid team on that half in particular, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them continue that momentum straight forward on the T side.
All right, well, we will find out, of course, in just a little bit. It's time now to head to a quick break. Don't go too far, though. FaZe and Vitality coming back after this.
Safe only, even though we burn from the light I bleed. Does she bring me back? Not a heart attack could take away all the love I had for you.
you want to go fishing or do you want to watch some Counter-Strike? That's a question I think I know the answer to. We'll keep the Counter-Strike on here. FaZe and Vitality as we head into the second half, and Vitality up 10-5. It's a pretty reasonable scoreline. I feel like both sides can kind of take something from that first half, and we should have a pretty banger second half because of it.
Yeah, FaZe have done their due diligence on that T side, getting themselves the 5 rounds, but a lot of those were predicated off the fact that they had a lot of loss bonus and they got the pistol there, so I think Vitality is probably the favoured team at this point in the matchup. Pistol will tell us a lot though.
Oh, RPK is going to try and tell us a lot, and he does! The P250 catches Nico, and Rain still has it dispatched of him, so that takes a lot of time, and Vitality are just barreling their way down into the B bomb site. Olafmeister from Decon cops the bink to the head, and coldzera now has to creep his way forward. CZ in hand, but not for long. Alex is there and awaiting, and Olafmeister just gets deleted as well. That is a statement heading into the second half from Vitality.
Yeah, Alex really stepping up there. He was actually having a pretty rough half on the CT side, but had a pretty impactful round, shutting down that outside play from FaZe, and then a nice little pistol from the man. He's up straight back on his horse to bring Vitality a little bit forward. At the moment, though, I mean, Shox has had some impact plays here and there. I think it's really been the ZywOo and RPK show so far for Vitality there. You always wonder who's that second player that's going to step up, and maybe a third player as well for Vitality and help out old mate ZywOo. And RPK certainly having a pretty sick start to this game. See if he's going to continue that on the T side. It's a force out for FaZe here.
It could be interesting. Olafmeister with the scout. Nico's holding close with the Deagle on outer as well.
Vitality just taking their time. Not peeking into any lines where they can potentially get their heads taken off by a Deagle or a scout, but this could be perfect timing for Nico if he pushes in from behind on Vitality, who are now executing in towards upper.
I don't know that he's going to get the timing right here. Vitality already making their move, but Rain has gotten 2, and that changes the ball game for Vitality. Olafmeister as well, a headshot from the scout. Now Brokey's getting involved, and what? Where's that round gone?
It's all fallen apart. He thought it was all about the Nico flank. Doesn't need to flank if Vitality never get into upper, Jordan.
That's insane. Well, that's a nice way back into the half immediately for FaZe.
That's the second round bye that we've seen, won by one of these teams, and that's what happens when you just have some of the most talented players in the world on the server.
Yeah.
Give them any kind of a weapon. You know, it's 2019. The game's been out for so many years now. So many players are proficient with all of them at this point. You can make it work with anything you give them. That's exactly what Vitality says. They have invested quite a lot of money into this round here.
Well, you wouldn't be feeling too happy after the last round here, so I can understand that from Vitality. But they have to make something happen because of it.
ZywOo here just ready to throw out that Annex smoke. Here's a Heaven smoke being lined up by Apex there. Rain just reads it perfectly. A very common lineup for that smoke. Alex going to throw it out anyway, and Vitality, they're going to throw utility into upper, but it's actually outside where they're coming through onto Olaf.
Olaf, he's got the Galil in hand and only good enough for one, but Rain there to trade, and he himself gets traded out by Shox, which does give Nico some pause for thought. Deagle in the hand of Shox is still going to be pretty dangerous. Alex creeps his way forward here as well with the CZ, and does know that Brokey's close. Gets the initial headshot, but can't connect any more of the bullets. So now it's just under Shox, and for Vitality, this is not an acceptable result, unfortunately. They haven't got enough out of this round for the investment that they put in.
Potentially 1 or 2 more headshots and you might change your tune there, Jordan. And Shox is not one who is incapable of delivering them. Not quite there. 5 damage from a Deagle. Must have gone through quite a bit of wall.
Yeah.
But I have to agree with you. 3 guns kept alive for FaZe is probably just about where you'd want to be up against a force like that. So with Vitality taking a further eco, if they can be even more convincing in this round and actually close out the anti-eco very, very solidly, then moving forward, FaZe are going to have a pretty good economy to be able to try to close this round gap.
Yeah, definitely looks like we're going to get a long map here on Nuke.
That's what you want. We had some too many blowouts yesterday.
We definitely had a lot
Come on,
of
only
games.
one series today. This is the one that I would like to be a long one.
Definitely want this to go to all 3. Apex, the Glock dives down. Eco here, not able to deal with the Eco slaw, but Rain is there. Someone had to pick those kills up, and someone had to get those frags. Towards the B bomb site goes Alex. I'm not sure that he's going to have too much luck planting this bomb.
RPK though, he's picked up the M4. Where is he even coming from half the time? The man is just rotating around.
Just
Solo
around.
on outside, multiple rounds in a row. That round he just comes out squeaky. There you go. He's fragging for Vitality and he's keeping that round nice and expensive for FaZe. They're going to have to reinvest. That is really going to take a bit of a toll on their money. That makes them mortal. Multiple gun rounds in a row, won by Vitality, and that will be a reset on the CT economy. Probably looking at 2.
Oh, yeah. Warps out for Zai Wu. Same for Olofmeister, actually. So, as you say, they're throwing it around a little bit here, FaZe.
Fast cannon. He's usually, I think he's pretty much their primary AWPer. I mean, they don't really have
Olof.
one, but he's the one who's picking it up the most.
Yeah. Well, for Zai Wu, though, not interested in challenging just yet. It's actually Alex with the SG that gets the better of Olofmeister.
I
So
think that was just spam through Squeaky Door, to be honest, onto Annex. In the position he died in, there was smoke on the door. I'm pretty sure he's just tapping his SG away in lobby there and found a freebie.
one way or another, he's dead. So Vitality do have numbers advantage. This is their opportunity now to really regain some of the control of the map that they probably should have had.
Yeah, it's a smoke onto Annex. You see Coldzera in a very aggressive position up towards door here. Does find the pick onto RPK. Vitality trying to wrap around through Heaven. Take control of Warehouse here. And you do see FaZe keeping nice and active. 2 players in towards lower. Got Nico near secret there. Might be having a duel with Alex any second.
Oh, who's copping some damage there? Rain.
Bit of spam into the Annex position from Shocks. And there's the duel down in lower. Alex just backs off though. What is Vitality going to do? They got 35 seconds. They need to make something happen. 1 in towards Heaven. It's probably going to be a crunch onto upper.
Well, time is of the essence now for Vitality. Even to get their players in position is going to take another 10 or 15 seconds.
Oh, what a spot from Cold, though. AWP, there's no one to flank him from lobby as they have control of that on FaZe. He can pretty much have free reign on these players crossing out of Heaven.
He's not obscured either at all. And there goes Apex. That said, Shocks was able to cross. It does get rid of Rain. Brokey. The 6th sense was not enough this time. And now it's all onto Nico. Can't get it done in the 1v3. 12 up.
Alex, that is big brain. He's flanking back around with 25 seconds to go. He could have just gone through Annex, kept it one-dimensional, kept it simple, but he's well aware that FaZe, in a round like that, a lot of these top teams are going to keep active in that 4-on-4 on the CT side. They're not just going to sit in certain corners and wait for something to happen. They are going to get active and push into that lobby area when they're well aware that the T took outside control. So that's exactly what FaZe did, and Alex, with a lot of trust in his teammates to close that round out there, flanks back through lobby and gets 2 for himself. That puts FaZe on the eco.
Very quick from Zai Wu into Squeaky, but no one peeking. Yeah, and this is now where Vitality can start running away with the game.
For sure. Keep going on this T side, build up some cash. So though, the CT and the Deagle need to be avoided as much as possible. You don't want to be seeing Vitality losing any guns here. If anything, you want to see Apex be able to pick up as many of these frags as you can to build up that cash that Vitality have a distinct lack of at this point.
Pretty desperate times for FaZe, though, when you consider that this is their map pick. And most likely they'll be down 13-8. To come back from that is a rough ask. And then they have to move on to Vitality's choice of Overpass, which we're all, I think, eagerly awaiting to see. Shocks will creep his way forward here behind the smoke, and FaZe not prompting themselves to push through it just yet. But if they do, Zai Wu's hanging around and he's waiting patiently. Here's another opportunity to double down. He won't quite be able to do that. It's actually kind of a massacre there. FaZe had a lot of players.
Yeah. Got sandwiched away.
Just didn't have the weapons that they needed. Coldzera's actually got an AWP, and he might be good to
just save it.
Yeah, better off saving it, I think. Vitality may actually end up electing to hunt him down with maybe Apex, or I suppose he can just grab an AK here. Either way, another round for Vitality.
I don't think Vitality can really afford to hunt this down.
Yeah.
If they lose another player here, that's going to be far too costly. And it's not like FaZe is going to lack the money to be able to grab themselves an AWP anyway. Jumping across, though. Beautiful movement. Avoids the AWP shot.
Yeah, good job. You say that they will be able to afford the AWP, and that's up to Brokey at the moment. If they elect to go for it, bit of a discussion happening now in the FaZe camp, and they will get it. It's a tactical pause, though, for Vitality. They know that they're sort of sitting on the precipice now. This is where they can just take this game by the reins and essentially charge it into a victory.
This round could be the end of the game here because essentially all it means is that, you know, FaZe is fully invested in this round. Sure, they have the loss bonus to back themselves up, but if Vitality puts themselves on 14, that's potentially a low money situation FaZe is looking at in the next round with that, you know, around that 3K mark. And, you know, unless they want to go for a low buy and stop match point coming out for Vitality, that's where Vitality could really put the pressure on FaZe and grab themselves that match point in an anti-eco before they face their last buy to be able to close out the game. With a 7-round gap, you'd be backing Vitality to close that out every day of the week. So for FaZe to alleviate some pressure on themselves, this is the round they need to pick up. And from that point, that's where Vitality's money is going to start to get very, very shaky, and they can potentially even be reset, which will allow FaZe to close this round gap.
Oh, it's a fast play from Vitality, changing things up, and a caught Rain initially. So for Vitality, that's off to a banger of a start in this round in particular. Brokey is down toward B. We'll have to deal with Shocks, and timing is going to be pretty important here for him.
Shocks has been great in these lower duels on the CT side, though, so expect more of the same from the man.
Oh, LaFleisa misses the shot. He'll be punished for it as well. I think that's going to be the hopes now. The map starting to fade away for FaZe. Vitality makes their way down to B. Brokey will get traded out. Numbers advantage now for Vitality, and the bomb plant going down.
FaZe is completely out of position, aren't they?
Yeah, they have so much work to do. Not only to get to the bomb site, but then to also win the clutch. If they even do it, just try and save here, I think, is the play.
Not a whole lot you can do really there as FaZe. I mean, they had that one player dedicated into lower on the CT side like you'd normally see, but Vitality, it's just, you know, it's like flicking a switch. They all dive down into lower, and Brokey just gets overwhelmed. And from that point, when you're seeing some of these CTs get aggressive and get active, like we've seen from both teams, on the CT side here, you see Nico pushing on outside. There's no way that he can get down into lower in time to be able to contest Ts that are getting the bomb down there. I mean, that's just Nuke in a nutshell. The vent is such a quick rotation time between the bomb sites that you can't really contest that if you're on the extremities of the map.
Well, it's certainly not the FaZe we saw yesterday. They have some thinking to do here. Pistols will come out for the majority. Bit of utility to be purchased for Overpass. Obviously, he's got a bit of cash. Final tactical pause for FaZe here. What's the plan? How do we come back from the 8-14 deficit? Can you even come back from the 8-14 deficit? I'm of the mind that I would answer no.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think Vitality has been a pillar of consistency so far in this series, really stringing gun rounds together where it's needed. And that's what's so scary about it. FaZe, you know, they've been able to come away with that force in the second round. They've been able to get those pistols, but hasn't really been enough for them. Overall, Vitality's looked much better in the gun rounds on both sides of the map.
In fact, it won't be a purchase from FaZe. Obviously, they've invested a little bit, but...
I mean, look at what they did with that second round buy. They could do a lot with a little. If you have the two weapons and you have yourself a chance to be able to buy in the next round, why not be reasonably dangerous in this round with the couple of weapons purchased and an upgraded pistol and armor, and then be able to full buy into the next one as well. Give yourself two chances.
Overpass hasn't been looking too comfortable with the AWP so far this game, but does open the account nicely. Brokey only had a USP, so that's not too much of a loss for FaZe.
How does Vitality turn this 4-on-4 into a round win? Do see FaZe getting antsy. It's a push in towards Store and in towards Hut. That's going to be something they have to deal with, but Vitality looks very cottoned on to this being a possibility.
Well, Rain should be able to get one there, and he does. Alex runs over Coldzera. Still, the two weapons remain here for FaZe, and now Rain's got himself an SG. Job starting to get more difficult for Vitality. Shock's in a powerful position, but the bomb needs to be retrieved here by the remaining members of Vitality, and Rain putting the stolen SG to good use. Knows that he's got players all around him, has to take a challenge somewhere here or there, and inevitably falls into the crosshair of Alex.
Shocks has the smoke for Annex here, but FaZe are going to get out before that even becomes a factor, so even though he drops it, it's not going to be helping them too much.
That said, Olafmeister's position actually isn't all that great right now. If Alex were to peek, Nico not able to cover him with that smoke being up, and Shocks very sneaky. I don't know how he's gotten down there without being heard, but Olafmeister had no idea. And now it's on to Nico, 1v2. He was a legend yesterday for FaZe. He's going to have to step up and do it again now. 20 seconds for Vitality making their way onto the bomb site. And now bomb on the floor. It's Shox with a Mac 10, and Nico should surely know where he's coming from as he starts to back away. Shox can't get it done. And FaZe survive.
I just think it's inexplicable there why Alex just hard crosses when he has a Molotov and a flash to be able to hold on to. He could have dropped either of those. I'm not saying that I would have stopped Nico from killing him on the cross, but at least sort of throw off his aim there. You know, it took a couple seconds for Nico to calibrate that one onto the head. If you throw the flash in there, it's just going to increase your percentages a little bit. You know, you have it, why not use it? Maybe it would have been the difference between Alex crossing or not. Maybe it wouldn't have. End of the day, though, that's phenomenal play from Nico to just keep FaZe in the game. And this is a quick play onto Upper. Vitality straight out the door.
coldzera shuts him down. Apex and ZywOo on the floor. Rain gets traded RPK. What's he doing? He's got all three. And it's Brokey now. 1 versus 3.
He's not even going for it. He's
How could you?
tail tucked between his legs, pieced it straight into CT spawn, and that's what this game has not stopped delivering, Jordan. Every single round, just these players being so explosive in the mid-round from both teams. You know, you see one team open up with 2 entries or, you know, 2 defensive kills on the CT side, and Olofmeister just doubles up, or Nico, you know, comes back in the mid-round and multi-frags. That time it's RPK. This man's been an absolute beast for Vitality here. Unmeasurable impact. And that's going to give Vitality match point. Look at the money on FaZe. They still have that loss bonus built up, but it's not going to be enough for Nico, Rain, Olof. I mean, they don't even have the loss bonus built up, actually.
Man, that is bad.
Yep.
4.9 for coldzera is the most cash in the back pocket.
I mean, look, it wouldn't be surprised to see FaZe make a buy like this work. I mean, they just did it in the previous round.
Yeah, but
But
how many times?
it's not consistent. This is not gun rounds beating gun rounds. I almost feel like the rounds where FaZe are forced to thrive with the individual plays are the rounds where they're having the most success, and when they have to put together something a bit more cohesive with a proper buy and, you know, not rely on the individual skill as much, but rather the overall strategy is where Vitality seems to have the goods every time.
That was the expectation going into this game. Nico won't really do a whole lot to Shox on the cross there, just tagging him a little bit with the nade, which allows Shox down. Olofmeister watching the angle, though. That is a sigh of relief for FaZe, I think. Start the round off 4v5.
Yep. See what the response will be from Vitality. A lot of players in towards lobby. You have Alex lurking on the outside. They're going to make the move in towards ramp, take some control, force some rotations, spread the CTs a little bit thinner so that they can exploit those weaknesses, catch them off on the rotations. That's a missed opportunity from Alex.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of map control here for Vitality. Apex already around to heaven. How's this happened?
Oh, how's he not got that kill onto Rain? That's the even bigger question. Well, that said, RPK's got 1. ZywOo is thinking, what has happened there? Seems to be not much of an issue at all, though, as Vitality are making short work of FaZe in this round until Brokey steps up and then gets clotheslined by Alex. It's a 2v1 now for Olofmeister with the AWP.
Vitality,
Not an easy task.
they just put the brakes on. They wait for the peak to come out, but that's a sharp shot from Olof. But that's the information for ZywOo, and you best know that knowing where exactly Olofmeister was not very long ago is going to give him the opportunity to be able to get this bomb down and put himself in a post-plant position. Olof's heard him. He's quick on the chase, but he has no kit to work with, so he needs to find his tool.
I don't think he's going to be able to. ZywOo knows exactly where he is, and Olof! Oh, you could almost see that potential happening for Olof there. A quick flick and a shotgun AWP, but it's not to be. 16-9 for Vitality on map 1, and that's FaZe's pick as well. Job's going to get more difficult from here.
Definitely is. Really big performance from RPK. Massive impact in that game. Aggression from Shox, and Alex really picking it up after a slow start to the match.
All right, well, map 2 is going to be coming up after this. Don't go too far for your short break.
At the highest level of play, there can be no compromises. Gamers demand the highest clock speeds to give them the FPS they need to perform. Rise to the moment. Intel Core i7, the official CPU of the Intel Extreme Masters. Game, record, stream without compromise.
So this is it. This is where it all started. The great business of DHL.
You remember when we still use these?
We have all come a long way since then.
Hey, Effie, my little buddy. I got a special job for you. And this is only the beginning.
This is game fuel. It's domination in a can. Tastes like loser tears.
New Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
I just step up and make it happen, it's a lifestyle. Living young and restless, yeah, weak by wild. If I want it, I'ma get it talking right now. And I ain't got no regrets, it's my time now. Lights out when you see us talking moves. You don't know that's the topic. And if you talking juice, well then you know I got it. Then you know I got it. Nobody got it like
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel.
Things are looking a little bit like that for FaZe right now as far as the map score is concerned, and that would be empty for Vitality. They're 1-0 at the moment after picking up FaZe's map of Nuke, and I would say in a pretty convincing fashion there as well. While the match felt like it went for quite a while, it was sort of always Vitality's to lose.
Yeah, it felt like they were pretty much in the driver's seat. There was a couple of rounds where FaZe made some pretty big individual plays. More so like multi-fragging in the mid-round than one player just outright carrying or clutching it out for FaZe. But at the end of the day, in the gun rounds, Vitality was a lot more consistent than FaZe. I would say I don't think the AWPing played much of a factor in this match in particular, as you wouldn't expect it to necessarily on Nuke unless it's on the CT side. It was more so, I think the riflers for Vitality were really stepping up a little bit more, especially a vintage performance from RPK there was pretty impressive to watch.
I mean, that's what I was going to say. Like, how good was RPK in this? And he actually had such a fantastic tournament so far as well. You know, we've only seen, I guess, now 3 maps from Vitality. But even with that said, I think all 3 of those maps have been really, really solid from RPK. What's also interesting to note was that going into this particular game, we did have the 2 top players, statistically speaking, from this tournament, which was ZywOo and Nico, coming from yesterday. I feel as though ZywOo sort of continued that trajectory. He had a pretty good map there. Like you said, the AWP wasn't necessarily super impactful.
He didn't even need to do anything, I feel like.
Right.
Even when ZywOo's like not on his A game, he's just like, yeah, I'm going to go 21 for 18.
Yeah, that's pretty much where he was at. I think he was sort of 18 for 14 at one point going into that second half. But on the other hand, Nico, you know, wasn't really able to get a whole lot going. I think he had like 1, maybe 2 pretty good clutches. Aside from that, though, the rest of FaZe did seem pretty flat.
Yeah, it felt like those clutches were necessary to be able to actually put some rounds on the board or string some rounds together for FaZe, whereas Vitality, they were winning rounds much more consistently, especially in those 2v2, 3v3 situations. It felt like Vitality really out-rotated FaZe. They were really sort of in the right position at the right time, whereas some of the FaZe members were kind of, a lot of times, you know, running down the clock quite a lot in those, you know, 30-second situations. Some of them looked a little bit confused about what to do and whether they're on the same page or not, whereas I feel like Vitality, they were always staying active. They were always very, very decisive about what they wanted to do, and that was always allowing them to be a step ahead of FaZe.
Well, Overpass is going to be map 2. That's Vitality's choice. Throw it at me, Pili. What's your thoughts?
I mean, I haven't seen a whole lot of FaZe playing Overpass myself. You know, I'd have to double check exactly how many times they played that in the break. But I do know it's been a strong map for Vitality and one of their comfort fix for the longest time now. I do know that it's a pretty AWP-centric map as well. AWP can have a pretty big impact over on Overpass. And when you're looking at the AWP duels, I mean, it's going to be night and day. I don't think Olaf Meister's really impressing too much with the AWP. He seems a little bit hit and miss, whereas ZywOo, one of the most consistent players in the world.
Hit.
Yeah.
Hit.
He doesn't miss.
Hit.
When you miss, you're surprised.
Yeah,
When you miss,
exactly.
you're actually like, whoa.
He doesn't stop hitting.
Yeah.
So that's definitely something that's going to come into effect a little bit more, we would say, on Overpass than it did on Nuke.
Yeah.
For the rest of the guys, I mean, for Vitality, I feel like their average performance right now, not like average performance, but the base level performance that they're putting in today is quite a bit higher than the base level performance being put in by FaZe. So I'm actually looking at this and I'm thinking this might be a 2-0.
Yeah, I would probably agree with you there. I wouldn't be surprised to see Vitality sweep it away there and take the 2-0, particularly with someone like RPK playing pretty well and Alex just sort of plugging away. You know, he had quite a bad start to that game, but you can just see the mentality from the man. You see it in his interviews as well. He's quite realistic with it. He's someone who clearly is pretty untiltable. As soon as he goes down that 1 and 8, he's able to turn it quite back around. And with those 2 players in particular, on the B side of Overpass, Vitality have one of the best B holds out of any team you've seen. So with those 2 players sort of playing quite well, it's going to be quite hard for FaZe to crack that one. Then you got ZywOo over on the A side of the map. That's going to be a nightmare of a T side for FaZe to navigate their way through.
Yeah, all right. Well, let's take a little bit more of an in-depth look at Overpass here. We'll bring up some stats now. Obviously, starting off with the 2 teams. Head-to-head, you know, there's not a whole lot to split them. I mean, the seeding, I think, probably tells the biggest of stories.
That's crazy. I don't think I've seen FaZe be 6th seed
I know.
for anything, for ages.
Yeah.
Particularly off the back of a Blast event.
Yeah, but
I
I guess the thing is, though, like, this seeding would have been done a lot before the Blast event would have played out.
Yep.
And as far as I understand it, ESL has its own internal seeding as opposed to what you're going to get from, like, HLTV standards or whatever, which... It depends on a lot of factors, I guess, and depends on who you ask.
That pretty much says it all. But 25 times 76% win rate and 3 games on it, and FaZe have won 1 of them.
Yeah, so that's not good. Not a good number.
Yeah, that is really not good. I mean, I thought there was a reason why I haven't remembered a FaZe Overpass game.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it. Because there hasn't been many of them.
There's not a whole lot to really go off here.
And you have to think as well, like, how many of those games would have been with Brokey? Like, are all 3 of those with Brokey, or are none of the games with Brokey? Like, how's he going to sort of work into this this mix? I don't know. Taking a look. I think, maybe only one of these maps is actually with Brokey as well.
Who was that?
Yeah, it was against Mouse Sports, which they lost. as well, 12 to 16. So that sort of tells its own tale.
Yeah, I mean, in general, FaZe haven't had a whole lot to sort of go off. You have the New York event and some of the online leagues that they've been playing in since they sort of acquired Cold on the roster. So, you can still say maybe there's still a little bit to be seen from them. Obviously, you've seen Nuke be a map that they've sort of adopted a little bit more, and they've had some good performances on. Maybe there's more surprises in the map pool there. I would be pretty. I would be pretty surprised, as it were, to see something like that come out and then be able to take over Overpass here, a map that's been a stock standard for Vitality for the longest time now.
Well, I think that's a good point to end things on. It's time for us to take a quick break. There's our summary of what we expect to see out of Overpass. Don't go too far, though. The game is going to be coming up after this break.
Black as the soul in me and the heart I have for you. It bleeds for you, it beats again. Oh, you bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to I'm safe only, even though we burn from the light I bleed. Does she bring me back? Not a heart attack could take away all the love I had for you. It bleeds for you, it bleeds again. Oh, you bring me to life. Oh, you bring me to life.
G'day and welcome back to the B stream of IEM Beijing. B stream for best stream, at least that's what we like to think, Pilly. We might actually be having a pretty quick day here though on the B stream. We only do get that one match, which was FaZe Vitality, a very, very good match. At least we expected it to be. But so far it seems like there may be a world where this sort of just fizzles out. If Vitality kind of knock over Overpass pretty cleanly, which, let's face it, based on what we can see on paper, should probably be the expectation, we might be done before 5 o'clock.
Look, I'm really not surprised that this is looking like a little bit of a blowout for Vitality, to be honest. You look at the form of both of these two teams, you look at a lot of the results you're seeing across tournaments like New York, you're looking at tournaments like Malmo, and even in the opening games of this tournament, there's been so many blowouts. Whether these teams are winning or losing, they're winning or losing in convincing fashion, which means that probably this is going to be pretty one-sided maps across the board, or one team's just kind of going to wipe the floor with the other, and so far that's been Vitality with a little bit of fight back from FaZe. Maybe not as much as I would have wanted, though. No,
definitely not. And this is going to be the last chance for FaZe as well, at least to go straight through to the semi-final. It's not an elimination match. If FaZe loses here, they'll end up having to play another game, and that will decide which team then goes through to the semi-final as the remaining team from this group. However, we're not at that point just yet. So Vitality are looking to get that auto berth through to the semis. And more importantly, that'll put them on the opposite side of the bracket to Astralis, who is looking like one of the strongest teams at this event right now.
Here's Vitality making their way over towards short, where there will be a contest from FaZe.
coldzera's in a good position as well, but can't actually land the shot on the first player. Brokey has to back away now as well. You think about that for coldzera as a one and done position, but it's really a 0 and done position now. So Vitality take control of short water.
It's the rotation in. Nice flashbang to be able to put some of these FaZe players in position to even up the odds. But Vitality, they're not forcing anything. 40 seconds to go. They're waiting out that short smoke. The flank is in from Con, but the rest of FaZe are stacked up on P.
Brokey trying to even the numbers, but it's actually Rain to do damage in that department. How is Nico still alive? He's like Neo. And all of a sudden, FaZe are actually starting to find the advantages. Nico gets another one. This is insane.
There you go. You can never count out FaZe on these pistols. Even a man disadvantage situation, Vitality's not able to convert that one. Some nice shots being landed by FaZe. And there you go. They pick up that pistol. And Lord knows they need it. Not that the pistol wins necessarily helped them too much in the previous game. Because the first time they won the pistol, then they lost the subsequent anti-eco. And then in the second time, you saw the opposite. Vitality won the pistol and FaZe won the eco force. Or the force buy rather. So now you're going to see Vitality go for the force buy as well.
Good flash.
Let's see if the curse will be broken.
Well, if Meister's just going to back away, not interested with the scout anymore towards Fountain. FaZe have given Vitality a fair bit of control of the map already, starting to get their way into short water now with Apex taking a peek.
Yeah, Vitality hasn't really used a whole lot of utility to get that map control either. They're kind of just walking around the map.
Deagle's looking for entries, and I think that's fair enough. It's going to be the contact play into the B site by the looks of things here for Vitality. No, bit of utility to sell the situation, but Brokey dancing around behind the pillar has work to do. The shocks, the last player coming through from Monster Tunnel will fall as well. Well done from Brokey. Alex still on the site. Rain is going to rotate down and deal with him, dispatch of him quite effectively. Now just Apex left. And Brokey should be able to finish this one off, marking a pretty nice round for himself. 4 kills there with that from us.
Yeah, good reaction from FaZe to be able to win a round like that. I mean, Vitality, it's surprising they don't use a whole lot more utility than that. But you see, you know, that's been a pretty popular way to win with pistols since the dawn of time. I mean, Astralis really popularized that, where you throw the smoke onto heaven and the double flash on the right side of the fence as you push up short. It's been effective for many, many moons now, and you do see Vitality do come away with 2 kills and pretty clean entries in onto that B bomb side, but FaZe still are able to recover and survive with 3 players, so it's good signs for them as they move forward in this map. They're keeping their money nice and high if they're able to potentially come away with this round without too many losses.
Zy was a madman. He's just run forward to try and get those guys.
He knows he's going to hit the shot, Jordan.
Well, he didn't. Either way.
Just the hitbox. It's fine.
Blame the hitbox, yeah, exactly. Vitality starting to make their way to A. It's actually a bit more of a split setup than from Vitality what I thought it was.
Great catch. It's slippery in the bathrooms, but RPK still gets his hands on that nade.
Don't drop the nade. Shock's not going to be likely to get much done here. He does have a deagle though, so all it takes is one shot, but that'll be the end of him. 3-0 for FaZe. You couldn't really have asked for a better start, but the gun rounds are, generally speaking, where the game is won and lost. And so for Vitality, this is their first opportunity to show us what they have on Overpass.
Yep. So they're going to get that full buy up. Isn't going to be the same for FaZe. It's not really a throwaway, but when you see the Scout and Olaf and 5k in the bank, you can see he's not going to fully go for this, and you wouldn't expect him to either. Olaf's been a pretty proficient player with the Scout for many, many years now. Double Molotovs invested and the push in towards Playground here, but Zywoo runs straight through and denies Rain the push. That's going to be the man advantage there for Vitality.
Oh, you can instantly see how things change when Vitality have the guns in their hand.
Yeah, the aggression from Brokey, who's having a pretty good game here for FaZe, is warranted in that 5-on-4 scenario. FaZe definitely at a disadvantage there, but they're able to even things back up. Was pretty bad situation they found themselves in. I mean, let's face it, FaZe using a lot of utility for that to enable that aggression out of Rain to get in that Playground position, and then he just gets absolutely owned by Zywoo.
Yeah, situation doesn't get much better when you look at the rest of the FaZe roster here either. Olaf's on 37 HP, Brokey on 31. So these guys are getting pretty low early on in the round. Vitality have plenty of time to make their way over to B. A smoke available for them, a couple of smokes in fact, a couple of Molotovs, an incendiary even there.
This is a lot of FaZe players though over here on this B bomb site. Cole's still got another smoke that he could potentially drop on short, so they're not going to be too worried about that position. Close angle from Nico, but what an opening for Apex.
Great shot to start things off as the rest of Vitality now start streaming past him. Nico's hiding behind the smoke called Zera to help them out as well, and that looks like a nice setup for FaZe. But it does get chunked away as Nico falls, and now straight through with the back of the flash there for Alex. There's going to be another round here for Vitality, assuming Olaf Meister can't get a whole lot done. Molotov forces him back.
Wants to go find a primary weapon, because if he's able to grab one, he can potentially drop over a gun to Cold and then buy himself an AWP, and FaZe has got themselves a pretty good buy to be working with. There you go. Finds Rain's M4, and FaZe going to be looking forward towards that next round. Nice little play in the mid-round, though, from Alex. You can see the shift out of Vitality. Apex actually snuck out Monster, and he's well aware that FaZe isn't playing an aggressive setup where they would have a player on the pillar or close to Monster. Instead, it's going to be a bit more of a retake setup towards ABC, which gives Vitality the room to come out Monster like that. So they shift away, back from the A side of the map, creep out Monster there, and with those Queen entries from Apex and the 2 frags in the mid-round from Alex, that's the round done and dusted for Vitality.
Money's not looking too great for FaZe either, so Vitality might be back into the swing of things pretty quickly here. Zaiwu opening things up very nicely as well, having to go through those couple of mollies. You feel he's under pressure there, but stays pretty cool and calm. And this is going to be the last buy for FaZe before they get reset. So an important one for Vitality and for FaZe. Obviously for FaZe, this is not their map choice and not a map that they're, at least on paper, too proficient in.
Again, it's going to be the investment of the utility over there towards the playground. Vitality going to go for a bit of a different approach. It's to creep through Con. Something that that old SK roster, the Brazilians used to do quite a lot. So we'll see how effective it is against old mate Cold. Vitality at the top of Con now. Will they be flashed out by RPK? Doesn't even have one actually, so it's going to be the self-flash out from Apex to look for any kind of an info. But with this Con control, it's actually just the emphasis over towards short B. Nice flashbang from the B bomb site to send Olaf Meister onto the line, but he's not going to grab anything, so instead going to fall back. And I wouldn't be too surprised to see maybe the push up long in the mid-round to grab some information. That's something that FaZe did in the previous. And Vitality now started to grab some control of this bathrooms area.
Again, they still have a lot of utility as they start to get close to the bomb site, and they have typically been executing around 40 seconds.
What's the boost up in the mid-round here from FaZe to be able to stop the rotation down Con, but nice spray through the wall from Cold onto Shox and all of that information that no one's in short water. Rain going to drop another smoke and push up into it.
Seems like it's time to pull the trigger though on the A bomb site here for Vitality as the execute starts to fly across. No, they're going to fake it out, and Rain is in the perfect position to catch Zaiwu off. That is a big brain play from Rain. Alex is right behind him, but he's got no idea. And Cold Zera waiting on short should just do enough damage to make this a risky round now for Vitality. Apex on his own has to cower away. That was a huge round from Rain. That's a huge play.
Absolutely. The disruption that FaZe needed on that CT side. Overpass is not really a map you could just wait for something to happen. It's waves of aggression on the CT side. Always trying to jostle for position, trying to stop the enemy team from taking that bathroom's control or re-aggressing into short B water, changing up your setups constantly, pushing up long. It's always a different look on that CT side, particularly over towards the A side of the map. That time it's aggression in the late round from Rain that really bears fruit for FaZe.
That keeps FaZe in the Buyers Club. Orb still in the hands of Olaf Meister. Nice to see here for FaZe, off to a 4-1 start.
Buy up for Vitality.
They've got no utility at all, like a smoke and a flash.
Well, luckily they got some sharp players that can definitely hit some heads if they put their mind to it. Question is FaZe going to allow them to have the opportunities to hit those heads? Someone like Olaf Meister with the AWP here should have pretty much free reign. There's no flashbangs to push him off any angles, so if the movement isn't correct from Vitality, if the shoulder peaks do not come out, you're going to see a lot of those Ts dropping before they can make it happen. onto the A site.
Not too bad of control of the map being taken here by Vitality. They have control of bathrooms, which means they can go into A.
What are they going to do realistically, though, with one flash and a smoke?
Well, that's it, isn't it? You have to make a contact play.
At least they've put the pressure on bathroom and forced the rotation from Nico back up towards the dumpster, which means there's only 2 players to contest on this B bomb site. What kind of utility have they got? Cold can counter flash. There's the Molotov being dropped over towards Monster. 1 flash left on Brokey and Cold, but realistically, Alex is going to throw that smoke into heaven.
Well, see how it goes on the entry here. Great flash to enable Cold Zero. The peek into Monster, and Brokey backs him up well. Everyone on short just gets absolutely machine gunned.
They just get wiped. And look at that reaction from FaZe. As soon as the pressure comes out, they don't hold their position. They don't wait for the T's to come to them. It's the aggression. It's the peeking straight into the angles close in towards Monster and short there.
Well, now you start questioning things for Vitality. You know, 5-1 for FaZe. It's not off to the races just yet. You know, the job's not yet done. But if Vitality don't start coming back into this first half, you know, this is where FaZe looks to push us through to our 3rd map.
Brokey's having a pretty phenomenal game here. 12-1 to start things off. Really getting FaZe going. And Vitality, who are starting a bit slower on the T side here. They are going to get 5 Deeks, and you definitely can't count them out with the amount of impact that Deagles had in the previous game of Nuke. Olaf's just 1-0. He hasn't seen anyone most of this time.
Well, he has now. Does miss the shot there. Knows he's covered from long, so doesn't have to spend time watching that. These pistols, unlikely that Vitality are going to get too much damage done. Nico is farming up a storm. Rain was looking to get involved as well, but didn't get the opportunity. It's just Shocks on Alex now. And no damage done so far to that CT economy. That's the best news right now for FaZe. They're actually playing a very solid, methodical version of this CT side where they're not giving Vitality much.
No. Most of the times that Vitality are actually contesting for that map control, FaZe is just chilling. They're waiting. After that initial push didn't really work in that first gun round, you saw FaZe just slow things down. It's been pretty smooth sailing for them so far. Some aggression in the mid to late round, but apart from that, hasn't been really, you know, that balls to the wall aggression you sometimes see on the CT side of Overpass, where it's constantly getting in the face of the other team. More so, it's been some trickier plays, some boosts, some nice flashbangs in the mid round to be able to enable certain players to go for picks. And that's what's really been working for FaZe. But, you know, up 6-1, they have a really good economy behind them. This is best case scenario for FaZe to make a case for themselves to be able to actually take Overpass here, be able to get themselves through to the 3rd.
Well, it's going to be about...
how long does Vitality sort of lay dormant?
That's right. It's about consistency now for FaZe. Like, they've started off well, but if they don't finish this first half in the same vein that they've started it, you know, Vitality just comes back into it, and it's a whole different storyline going into the second half.
Well, here's the change-up for FaZe. It's a double setup in Con. You got the boost from Olaf. He's on top of the shelf looking towards Party while Rain mines Con for him. The push in the mid-round for Brokey. This man's feeling so confident. Very early on, he just goes out and he gets that frag. He must have like 13-1 or something, and the off angle isn't checked by RPK. It's a freebie for Olaf.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit loose now for Vitality, and FaZe are flourishing.
Lovely flashbang there from Nico to be able to set up Olaf for the repeat.
Oh, you would have backed Olaf to hit that shot with the Deagle as well. I was waiting for it. Would have been the cherry on the cake for FaZe, wouldn't it? Not that they need it. They've got the cake anyway.
Yeah, and the cake is this flashbang usage every single round and the smartly timed aggression. There you go. That's about the first duel that FaZe hasn't won so far, really, it feels like. And let's see if this continues here. This is very impressive stuff, but that's a freebie given to ZywOo. And the amount of times you've seen ZywOo and Shocks win a 2-on-4, that's not something you want to be giving to them. But there you go. Another push. One thing you can rely on FaZe to do, I've seen so far today, and that is they will not stay still in the mid-round. Constantly pushing around and trying to jostle for position and find the angles and find the timings to be able to give themselves a better chance to win.
Shock's not going to check the corner properly. Nico aptly waiting. 7-1 now. Oh, well. Where does Vitality turn to now? It had to be a tactical pause, didn't it? It's been a little while since we saw one, so big discussion now for Vitality. Do we buy? Do we save? what are we doing? You know, are we letting this map slip already?
See what they do end up going for. The money's not stable enough to be able to get a really good buy together. They just have that full loss bonus. And sometimes you need to really draw that line in the sand and not fall into that false sense of security of, hey, some of us have money for AKs. Do we just buy because we have the money for it? Or do we just take this save, even though we're so far behind already, down 7-1, give FaZe another round, and then start to mount the comeback to be able to get themselves some rounds? I like this middle ground. I like going for the half buy, getting yourself some good utility, going for a strat that's going to give yourself a higher percentage to win the round, and being able to buy up in the next one anyway. It's nice to see from Vitality. By the way, RPK's 0-8 after a monstrous game last map. This man is literally gone missing.
Definitely tells the tale, doesn't it? Vitality are going to run through that incendiary. They're trying to get onto the B bomb site here, and Shox is leading the charge, but Brokey's hiding in a smoke and inevitably does get found. It's a game of hide and seek, and the prize is death for Brokey. Zero, however, on short, remains unchecked, and while the bomb does go down, Vitality are dropping like flies. Alex has himself an SG. He'll be the danger man here, but RPK somehow gets one with a P250, and Rain is on 6 HP. A feasible round now for Vitality if RPK and Alex can step up. He gets a nice angle onto coldzera, doesn't hit the shot though. And Rain falls. That bomb is ticking quickly, but coldzera will put an end to the shenanigans. Vitality made that a little closer than they might have deserved to. But 8-1 for FaZe. It'll be a good enough result, especially considering the money they've got. They don't mind losing these guns.
Yeah, look, the round is the road back into this game, rather, for Vitality is pretty treacherous at this point, but any kind of damage they can get done in a half-buy round like that, forcing FaZe to rebuy these weapons, forcing FaZe to rebuy these rifles, potentially maybe an AWP, it's slowly going to chip away the economy and begin that domino effect to get Vitality back into this game, because FaZe doesn't have much loss bonus built up at this point. The thing is, though, that they need to actually start putting these rounds on the boards to be able to make those kills that they got in the last round actually mean something. Oh, that's a terrible start.
That is. Well, Alex at least is able to trade Nico back down, but man, Brokey is always good for one. Look at him, 14-2 after 9 rounds.
I mean, it pretty much does it all that he literally walked out the other round into short on the timing that he felt was good and just got himself a frag.
That is not a good start to the round for Vitality. Again, back to the drawing board. What's plan B now? Definitely not that.
And it's just, even in the man advantage situation, FaZe is just staying active, constantly looking for more picks. Rain's still pushing, still looking for something more. Oh my god. Oh. How has he not found that? Ah, man. Sometimes the walls in this game can be a little bit misleading, but this is actually a pretty good position that Apex has found himself in. Does actually cop the AWP shot through the wall, and with the flank potentially coming out from Cold in connector, Vitality need to get a wriggle on and put this bomb down, but Shox is in no rush at the moment, and Cold, patient as ever.
Well, they do have 40 seconds here, so there's no real need to do anything too crazy just yet as Vitality, but you're right, the more time that they give Cold here, the worse it's going to get. And it really is a matter of timing now for Shox and for Apex. If they check their backs, if coldzera is going to keep this push going, it does look like right now Vitality should be able to get a bomb plant down.
Look, FaZe has set up the net. It's just a matter of time, and that's going to be a freebie for Olofmeister. Oh my god, how do these shots keep connecting?
That just puts a nail in the coffin for Shox as well. Let's see if he can dig his way out. Has the info of Cold behind him, but Olofmeister is in front as well. Who's behind, who's in front? I don't think it matters at this point. Philosophical discussion aside, FaZe are up to 9.
I can tell you, I know, literally who's in front. It's FaZe.
It's FaZe right now.
Very far ahead.
I mean, in the context of the whole series, technically Vitality is still in front, because they have that whole map on the board.
You always have to back chat me, Jordan.
Yeah.
You can never just let something be.
Why
just
can't
say,
you...
look, Pilly, you're right.
No, all you have to do is be right, and then I won't back chat you. You just have to be right.
It's the one thing I can never do. Just ask my missus. Anyway, Vitality, it's a full buy up from them. Going to go for a bit of a different approach. Many players over here towards B. It's going to be a big contest onto coldzera. I would imagine the man doesn't really have Molotov to be able to drop. Brokey doesn't have one either, so they're going to do just as they did before. It's the close setup in towards Monster, while Nico mines the bridge.
Here we go. Vitality starting to make their way in. Oh, it's mincemeat. coldzera gets 2, Brokey 1, and Vitality go bye-bye. Apex, the last, and he'll get one onto Nico. It's a consolation prize, really.
It's just such an effective way to hold down that B bomb site. Lots of people, they'll just sit back in the water, they'll sit back at ABC, and they'll allow the T's that space to get out into outside of Monster. And although Apex gets one back, he's so weak at this point, I don't imagine that this is possible. But FaZe, it's the opposite sort of approach from them. If you've got such tight choke points in towards short, in towards Monster, why not use them?
He's going to run out of ammo. He's got 38 bullets left.
Spam it away, trying to make something happen.
Well, pop flash through here for Apex. "30 seconds. I don't think that he's going to be able to get too much done here. Cold Zero's watching the angle, and that'll be that. Nicely done from FaZe, up to 10-1. And they are marching forward, aren't they?
I don't know where this has come from. I think it's just one of those things where you haven't seen FaZe very much on this map. And I guess they've been putting in the work. They've been making it happen.
Evidently. Doing well for themselves.
Yeah, it's a pretty good performance across the board, would have to say, from FaZe. So far, I mean, no one on Vitality's really got rolling, honestly. I think they kind of fell asleep with how easy it was for them to be taking Nuke there.
Whoa. That's not what was intended.
It's a full investment for Vitality once again. Zywoo's got himself a scout. Rest of the lads lacking some Molotovs, which can be pretty crucial on a map like Overpass to clear out certain positions and stop the CTs from peeking certain angles. That's one of the common ones you'll see. It's a smoke into the bathrooms and a molly on Divider. This will allow the T's to potentially pinch Con. Not that they really need to, because it looks like Apex has pretty much taken matters into his own hands to get control over there. Similar setup once again from FaZe. You see Rain up near the flower pot. He could potentially push in the mid to late round to find some information for FaZe. And again, it's just FaZe keeping active, gathering information, jump spotting wherever they can. A bit of a different setup on this B bomb site. It's going to be more of a retake with one towards ABC, one in the water, while Nico rotates back up towards A. And it's a good read from FaZe, honestly.
Look at this position from Rain. Surely you're not checking this one. Well, flashes are going to come across. Alex does indeed, but Rain has moved accordingly, and he just gets rid of Alex and RPK. So see you later.
That's some great timing.
Get off my lawn.
Sees that flash coming in and turns perfectly. If he had just stayed still that extra second, that probably would have been a freebie for Vitality. Instead, it's a 3K for Rain.
Hello. I'll take 3, please. Zywoo. Or Zai Wounded. Did you like that one?
He's got 100 HP, Jordan.
Yeah, but he's probably feeling pretty wounded.
It's the mental wounds that are the worst of all.
Indeed. Oh, Olaf. Where you going, buddy? Where are you off to? Thought bathrooms was clear. It was not. Actually, Orb's going to be taken through here from Zywoo. Just. Wow. Still 11-1 though for FaZe. I don't think they're overly concerned by the fact that Zywoo's been able to keep that Orb because...
I don't think so. I think the rest of this half, they just do whatever they want.
Yep.
I think this is where Vitality takes the last 3 rounds. Because this is what you always see. You always see the team that's up 11-1 get sloppy, and then they just randomly start dropping rounds that they shouldn't be dropping.
Let's see if your prediction is going to be correct. Olaf certainly had a better time with the AWP on this map than he did on...
I mean, he's always been famous for his Overpass.
That's what I was going to say. You don't pick Overpass against Olaf lest you suffer the consequences. Shocks. Oh, that could have been interesting had he hit that shot. Goes all right.
All right. Well, Vitality going to be moving up Con, trying to take some map control, whatever they really can with the limited utility that they have. It's only really the half buy around the Orb that Zywoo was able to hold on to. FaZe playing reasonably passive once again. Question is, what happens in the mid to late round from FaZe? Because they have been quite passive, quite happy and content to sit on these bomb sites, but it's usually around this time in the round that someone makes something happen, someone gets active. Cold's got himself a flash. You see the flash coming out from Nico, doesn't give them any information. Now it's only Brokey who's got utility on this B bomb site, which means that FaZe are just going to brawl. They're going to look for the info.
Entering with the AWP? Surely not. Nico's in a good angle here. Shocks and RPK will try and dispatch of him. No, it's Zywoo that takes the initial peek. RPK now has that AWP. But he puts the P250 to good use, as now the attention turns to Cold Zero, and of course it does. 3 kills, and make it a 4th. FaZe lock out the B site.
Vitality just can't deal with this close setup. Every single time, it's just multiple CTs playing off of each other in close angles, multiple pop flashes, just being able to set them up for success. Even when they didn't have the utility, once again using that close, short, off angle, and then you just have the second player dancing around the pillar, another player close monster, and by the time any of those players would have been cleared out, if Vitality had even done that at any point, they would have sustained multiple losses, and you would have seen the retake come in from FaZe.
It's buy time for Vitality, and it's high time that they win a round or two here. It just seems like FaZe is playing on another level here on Overpass. They just know where Vitality is and what they're going to be doing. What the appropriate counter is to that. 12-1 now. I mean, you would be forgiven for assuming that this was going to go to 14-1. I mean, it still may well go to 14-1. This round here for Vitality is going to be the one where they make or break that dream, though.
Did not expect this to come out from FaZe. I don't think Vitality have really cottoned on to the fact that it's even happening. They're still just kind of looking like they're going through the motions as they're kind of just getting pounded round after round by FaZe.
I don't think Vitality expected much like this either.
I mean, why would you? There's not really much to go off.
No, and then if you did, you wouldn't have picked the map. So, Rain, he's going to go through the smoke here. Yes, off the back of a flash, but I think he might have been white there as well. That is going to give RPK the opening frag. One that's been missing quite a bit for Vitality, that opener.
Yep, but you see again, it's the aggression in the mid-round. Olof's going to take the peak. Nico pushes up long. Doesn't quite win that duel, though. See Olof up close in bathrooms here. There's still some FaZe players in positions where they can win this round, despite the fact that they have demand disadvantage.
Olof's going to get some info into bathrooms as well, off the back of the flash from Cold Zero. Oh, this could be big. Oh, that is huge. That's a great shot from Olof Meister. Here comes Zywoo into the site, and there goes Zywoo right out of the site as well. Cold Zero's going to lock it. You don't even need 3 players, mate. You just need 2. FaZe are up 13-1.
I mean, you know, the unsung hero of that round is Brokey. The man pushes into short B, despite the fact they're in a man disadvantage situation. Gets all of the information from that position he's sitting in. He can hear everyone rotating down Con, opening the door. He can see anyone running across Monster, and therefore no one needs to rotate off that A-bomb site. Cold and Olaf just go forward. They don't go back. Again, just this aggressive setups in the mid to late round that Vitality can't really deal with.
Oh, well, Vitality, one more attempt here on the T side. Haven't been really able to put anything on the board so far, making a lot of noise as well. So that's going to be the information for Rain and for the rest of FaZe. Not only the information, but one more kill as well. Rain's having a good day here as well. 11-6 for him. Vitality looking to execute onto the site, but they might not even get there. Rain looks to just shut them all down, and Nico's out. Nico's available. And that is just RPK left alive. Of course, Olaf Meister to finish the half off. I think it's fitting. He had a very, very good first half there on the CT side with the AWP.
Where the hell did that come from? I just can't even process that. Unbelievable. These players on FaZe are just firing on all cylinders.
Tell you what, I'll give you a little bit of time to process it, Pilly. We're going to head to a break, but the second half, how long it is going to be, we'll be back after this.
my time now. Lights out when you see us starting moves. You don't know that's the topic. And if you talking juice, well then you know I got it. Nobody got it like me.
Welcome back to IEM Beijing. We're on the B stream here, and it's FaZe and Vitality. A much different story to the first map, which was all the way of Vitality. And, well, now this one, as you can see there with the scoreline, 14-1 has been decidedly the opposite.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable performance so far from FaZe. They went down on their map pick of Nuke that they've looked so strong on as of late, even taking it over EG, who have been pretty good on that map pretty consistently. But now onto Overpass, a map that FaZe really hasn't got many reps on with this lineup, and in recent history, turns out might be a bit of a pocket pick for the lads. They had an absolutely unstoppable CT side predicated off individual players just getting in there, staying active and stopping Vitality from even getting rolling. And look, I don't think there's any chance Vitality comes back into this game, but it's a question of how many rounds can they pick up to build up some momentum heading into the third map of Inferno and trying to secure themselves that semi-spot.
Well, that's what we're about to find out here. How clean FaZe can make it here. And with the start like that, you have to think that they might well make this one a pretty quick one, maybe even a 16-1 if the pistol goes their way. And they're on their way to doing that as well, but Zywoo's got a little bit of a sneaky position here. This could be the difference maker. Risk versus reward. It's a high risk, but it's going to be a high reward here as well, as he will catch Coldzera. Rain elects not to continue the push. Now, Zywoo's faked that he's gone back down the ladder there. That is going to give Rain some pause for thought. Oh, wow. Great shot from Rain. Great awareness as well.
Well, he went down the ladder one way or another.
He
Just
did.
about whether he went down there in a body bag or not.
Nico's hiding on the other side of the door. Alex is very close by here as well. There's no one to help him out on short water there either. So he's going to have to do this all himself, and oh my god. There he goes. Just gets binned by Nico.
Many bins on Overpass, and Vitality has been stuffed into various numbers of them. There's one of them. Another one near the bathrooms, another one CT spawn. There's one for every single player on Vitality. I think they're going to need them all.
Perhaps a round turner for RPK. Puts it back to a 3v2. The issue, however, is it's basically a 3v1 now for Apex. Unless that rotation comes in quickly here from RPK, which it has. Nico, check. Oh my god, he's just hitting everything. Holy cow.
Doesn't even have any support. He just ran up there by himself, seeing if he could cause that rotation, and they could make the read.
Wow.
But who needs to make a read on anything when Nico is just going to one-tap everybody in the server?
I just don't know what to say. It's 15-1 now for FaZe.
It's been one of those.
Second half is going to take even less time than the break did.
I don't know why I'm so surprised, to be honest. Like, this is what I expected from this series. I expected probably a 3-mapper where the teams would blow each other out multiple times, because that's what has been happening for Vitality when they've been losing series. You saw a couple of those at Malmo, I think it was. As for FaZe, you know, you saw some of those over at New York where they're losing or winning series in very convincing fashion, and nothing in between. That's what you saw. Even when they won Blast, they still lost the map 5-16 against Liquid, you know? So both of these teams, you're seeing sort of similar scorelines to what you're seeing in this series. The interesting thing is that it's happening on their own map picks, though.
Yeah, that is weird. That is very weird indeed. I suppose you can kind of get that, though. Like, it's FaZe, you know? Anything can kind of happen with a team like this.
I think they just each and every one of them had quite a few wheat picks in between map 1 and 2.
I would have to go ahead and guess that
Wait.
literally none of the players in this server have ever even had wheat picks. Well, a few of them have been to Australia for IEM Sydney though, so maybe.
Never had a wheat pick. I don't know if I believe that, considering the shots that Zywoo hits. What do you feed him?
That's definitely a wheat picks kid if I ever saw one.
Yeah. He's like a 7 wheat picks kind of guy.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay, 15-1. Is FaZe going to clean it up here and now, make it 16-1 and put us through to our third map? It's what we're really waiting to see. It's been a slow kind of around this one.
Yep.
35 seconds left on the board.
I mean, these rounds are the most dangerous. When you leave it to the last second, it leaves you open to some potential opportunities for some of these lads with the pistols to make it happen, particularly when they got still smokes to drop.
Quite a few of them, in fact. Vitality have held on to a fair bit. Zywoo, he's caught one in the side and now a second as well. It's Nico down alongside Rain. 13 seconds here for FaZe to get the bomb plant. Shox hiding away behind the smoke could be the difference maker here. Apex has got his knife out. coldzera, he might just be able to do it. He's got no idea where Shox is. Vitality are going to win the round by the skin of their teeth.
That's just beautiful stuff from them. I mean, that whole round, they're holding on to smokes. They're waiting for something to happen. FaZe throws that execute onto the A bomb site, and Vitality just drops 2 smokes on the front of the site and plays behind them, essentially creating angles that weren't there before for the pistols to be able to create favorable engagements and take some close range battles without any trade potential for those Ts unless they come through the smokes as well. And although the round still gets scrappy, it's still back and forth. Vitality is able to create enough space for themselves to be able to buy time for those rotations to come in and win in that one-on-one at the end there.
Shox with his favorite weapon. And he might get one more here. Oh, has he spotted the gun? Has he heard something? Well, he's got the info now, but maybe not the way that he would have liked to have. Rain gets one more. So it's 4v4. Zywoo obviously trading for it, but decent enough damage being done here by FaZe to make you think that actually, if they hit a couple more shots, this could start to slip away for Vitality, and that's definitely not how you'd want to lose map 2.
Zywoo is so isolated here as well. He literally has no support from anyone except for RPK, who's trying to come through short and clear out that area so that he can have a bit of an escape plan.
Nice trade from coldzera.
RPK up close on the off angle. It's going to be a double push into water for Vitality, who understand they're at a disadvantage. Alex also flanking in through bathroom. Vitality staying nice and active to try to make sure that they can close this round down and stay alive in this game.
Wonder what Olofmeister is going to be able to do here. Doesn't look like he's actually going to run into Alex, who's backed away a little bit more toward long. Still a fair bit of time actually to play with here for FaZe. Nico's going to open up a hole in the wall, and that's going to give RPK the information that there's a player there. In the meanwhile, Olofmeister not quite able to connect the shot there onto Alex, which would have probably opened up the A bomb side and could have changed the round.
It's going to be the difficult position to deal with. 20 seconds, you got to deal with Apex. You also got to run through a smoke onto the big bomb site. How are you going to even expect Apex there when the smoke's dropped on short? Still expensive here for Vitality though. Big RPK's got it on lock though.
Yeah, he does. Funny that. 15-3. Doesn't make the scoreline look much better though.
No, definitely not.
Be
Still
another
very
save.
one-sided. But Vitality is clawing back a couple of rounds. Maybe give themselves some more confidence.
Stop grasping at straws.
These are very ropey rounds. I'm not grasping at anything, mate. I already said they can't win the map.
Ropey rounds or brokey rounds?
Definitely not brokey rounds. Because if they were winning brokey rounds, they'd be at 15 rounds.
Well, if brokey rounds were happening, we'd probably be in the ad break getting ready for map 3.
Probably. Brokey doesn't like ads though. He's got ad block. It's one of those youngsters.
Can't add the block. Add the block. Block the ads that are on the stream.
That's true.
Got him. 5,000 IQ play. Big
There you
push
go.
from Vitality here again.
Really sounding like an ESL employee now, Jordan.
Yeah. Just everywhere. All of the extremities are being pushed by Vitality, and that might come back to bite them. Zywoo
What do you
gets
even
binked.
do? What do you even do?
You just hide
They're
behind
just,
the corner.
they're not barely even peeking around the angles.
Yep.
They're barely even peeking around the corners. They're just copping dinks.
Oh, he's been spotted. Apex has been seen. Or has he? At least the communication might not have been there for Nico. He did not quite seem to have the info. Now Apex joins
Look
the
at
party.
the dinks!
Great shots from Brokey. It's just not enough though. Vitality have the numbers here. They have the guns. And Olofmeister If he had his Glock out there, might have got one more, 21 HP for ZywOo, but Vitality goes to 4. First gun round though for FaZe here.
They've only got Glocks and like 2 P250s, and every single time a Vitality player spots someone on FaZe, they're literally just copying multiple shots to the noggin. So ridiculous. FaZe looking so sharp. Here we go though, first proper gun round of the half. It's going to be a pretty exciting one to see if Vitality can stay alive. It's going to be AWP both for Olaf and ZywOo.
Big nades. Olaf cops a little bit of a tickle. It's like more of a haircut really than anything else.
Yeah. I mean, if there's anything that FaZe definitely do have going for them, they all have very fresh haircuts usually.
Yeah. Indeed. Slow and steady for FaZe, as it has been throughout this T-side so far.
They're going to clear out Con. They're going to start to make some moves over here towards bathroom. Smoke onto the entrance to the toilet. Olaf going to set up the lads with a flash over the top of Con. That pushes ZywOo off the angle, and he shouldn't have committed to that one. Nico's going to make him regret it.
Yeah, we'll let him know why. Oh, scary times for Shocks. A ghost.
Oh,
spooky.
It's the 8th of November, a week later.
Yeah. Don't want to be rolling around that corner and seeing Nico just pointing an SG at you. Oh, that's gone right into the smoke. So Rain actually gets through it. Wow.
No, that is not how you want to be losing the man advantage if you're Vitality. I'm pretty sure when you're down 15-4 and you lose a pick like that, you probably just give up.
Yeah.
Probably just had enough at this point.
That's not fun. Not fun at all, unless you're Rain. He's been doing that, though, throughout Overpass to pretty good effect. Pushing smokes here and there. His timing has been great.
What has this map been, though? Where's the fight back from Vitality? I know FaZe are playing a hell of a game, but there just seems to be no one trying to step up and turn things back around for Vitality and close out this series.
Maybe Shocks can. Cold Zera with the Shadow. It's going to give the info over to Shocks just a little bit earlier. So now it's 3v3. 10 seconds on the clock here, and FaZe have yet to even get into B. RBK, he doesn't win the aim duel. Rain has saved it for FaZe. And now Vitality needs someone to do just that. It might be Apex who catches Brokey. A little bit over-eager, pushing in, trying to finish this game off, trying to be the hero for FaZe. Olaf Meister catches Shocks as well. And that might well be the kill that gets the map here for FaZe. We have to ask for more, though, for Olaf Meister.
No kit.
Oh, still the what? What's that? He couldn't even see him.
Moving.
He couldn't even see him.
You don't move and shoot in this game, Jordan.
Well, the map's not over yet, folks.
Just one of those Apex things. Not even sure he knows how we did it. Look at him.
That's a man who's seen some things. That's what I look like right now as well. My eyes are just wide open. How's he hit that shot?
I don't get it.
Let's
I
see.
Really just
Have a look on the replay. I saw him
full
the first
strafe.
peak.
He's full strafed it. His crosshair wasn't even on, but he's been given that. Gaben's gone. You know what, Vitality? You've had a really rough one so far. I'll give you that one. You can have it.
Well, Vitality, they're coming back into their own now on the CT side. Really starting to show us something. It's a long, hard grind to get this one back to 15 apiece, but Vitality are getting some rounds on the board.
Look, okay, I know, should I even say it?
Do it.
They're 9 rounds behind, but like, Vitality has been so good on the CT side of this map in the past.
Okay.
So good.
What you're saying is they can win this map.
You know what? Why not? They can win it.
All right.
Maybe.
The thing is, though, it's hard to believe that FaZe are not going to get just one round here.
Yeah, there's no way.
Somewhere.
They're playing too good individually. Like, literally all 5 of their players are just firing on all cylinders.
Rain, that's just missed the shot, and no connection onto the player through the wall either.
Can't take back what I said.
Why is
I
that?
already want to backpedal.
Think they're going to lose now?
That's why.
It's a 1-for-1. Could be worse for Vitality. Looks like it'll be a peek into short.
Push on short, and from Con as well.
You can't miss that. ZywOo doesn't get punished for it, and it draws enough of a distraction that RPK is able to get some work done, but he continues the push. Cold Zera!
No way.
How has he done that? Gets 2.
But it's just so unnecessary.
I think you've jinxed it, Pilly.
RPK, he goes forward instead of back.
You've cast or cursed it.
You can't reverse the tank. Can you?
I think you can.
There you go. Should have put it in reverse. Bomb is dropped. FaZe are going to have to grab that. But once they do grab that, should be all Gucci to close this one out. Thing is, though, that both of the Vitality players are over here towards beat. They have such a low percent to win this round in the 2-1-3. I mean, not a super low percent, but I wouldn't be surprised to see them just stack beat. This is a pretty nice off angle from Alex as well. Wouldn't be surprised if he just got a freebie there with the A1S. Into B they go.
What is Alex going to be able to do here? It's all on him, and that is a nice start. Doesn't look like he'll be able to deny the bomb plan here. coldzera in the perfect position, and Olaf shuts him down. It's a 2v1 now for ZywOo. Can he be the hero that Vitality needs? He starts to creep his way forward, mirroring that of coldzera. Oh, seen him. Now it's a 1v1. CZ in hand, flashes out here. It'll be ZywOo to take the challenge, but Olaf Meister to win it. And it really did feel like a matter of time there. We gave a little bit of hope to Vitality, and they very quickly pulled it away. 16-6, the map goes the way of FaZe, and that means we'll head to Inferno now. What a crazy map that was, though.
Huge individual performances from all 5 of the FaZe members, and I don't even know where Vitality went. It seemed like they all just got off their PCs, and 5 completely different players sat down, and they came and played Overpass and got smashed.
Well, there's a big question as to who's going to turn up on Overpass. And then, of course, we have to turn our tides towards Inferno. Let's see how it goes after the break.
Hansel's strength, I think he know what he wants and he pursue it until he got it.
We can expect more from him because he always loved Counter-Strike.
I think he is the best Counter-Strike player in Asia and in the world for me as his friend. I think he is the best player in the world.
So this is it. This is where it all started. The great business of DHL.
You remember when we still use these?
We have all come a long way since then.
fee, my little buddy. I got a special job for you. And this is only the beginning.
This is game fuel. It's domination in a can.
Tastes like loser tears.
New Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel. Victory in a can.
We keep on searching, but we will never know what we're after.
I just step up and make it happen, it's a lifestyle. Living young and restless, yeah, we quite wild. If I want it, I'ma get it talking right now. And I ain't got no regrets, it's my time now. Lights out when you see us talking moves. You don't know that's the topic. And if you talking juice, well then you know I got it. Nobody got it like me.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel.
Well, that's an interesting way to start the day off there, or at least starting this segment with the song saying "We Rise Up." That's exactly what happened to FaZe. Like, they were down in the dumps, they were gone in the bin after Nuke, and now they've risen up out of the bin like a beautiful bin chicken. Anyone from Australia would know what I'm talking about. Probably no one else does. Probably 90% of the people on stream don't. Anyway.
I think it's a great analogy, though, because
Thank you.
just like bin chickens, FaZe did exactly whatever they wanted. All
Threw
over
the rubbish
Overpass,
everywhere.
And, you know, they
Yep.
did as bin chickens do.
They did indeed. I mean, they basically ran around and caused havoc, which is, yeah, pretty much exactly what bin chickens do tend to do. Now, FaZe, where did that come from? Like, that's just...
I don't even. I mean, you can't really... you can't really blame the fight back not really being there for Vitality. I don't even know what to say about it, you know what I mean? Like,
just keep going.
Yeah, it's an upper bracket game, right? You know, it's not an elimination match. I feel like some of the time you will see some of these teams be a little bit more lax. I just don't know where the fight back was from Vitality. That's a map that they're very comfortable on, very familiar with.
Yeah.
I know that FaZe was firing on all cylinders, but it seemed like Vitality was just so flat in comparison to Nuke, where they were so active, they were getting in the face of FaZe, they were trying to make the plays happen and trying to, you know, take control of that game. but then over there on Overpass, they kind of just rolled over and died.
Well, it doesn't bode too well going into map 3 either. Obviously, Inferno is going to be the remaining map here. I mean, FaZe are kind of run into that with like all these players firing. Cold Zero was going bananas on the map. All of Mice really started getting it going on the AWP as well, which is going to be pretty nice if we end up seeing them start on CT side. I didn't feel like Nico was like going too crazy again.
He's been quietly plugging away both maps, so he's needed close to top stat for FaZe.
I was going to say, like, just about his sort of solid performance is really enough that you get still a very good performance out from him comparatively. So for FaZe, I think, you know, you've got those three starting to step up. I mean, Brokey definitely had his moments there as well. He was really good on the B-bomb side. So I think the pieces of the puzzle are starting to come together right now for FaZe.
Yeah, I think the key players in that last map really were just Brokey, Cold, and Rain on that CT side. When they were heading over towards B, Vitality were just getting shut down by those aggressive crossfires between Brokey, Cold, and Brokey and Cold rather, with some supportive work from Nico, whether he was, you know, dropping all of his utility to enable Brokey or Cold to go for those pushes. And when he was out of utility, a lot of the time, he was just taking matters into his own hands and walking up short and creating the space for the other two players to sort of thrive. So he's being that enabler, whether it's, you know, with that individual skill of his by getting in there and taking the fights, or whether that's using that utility effectively. Then over on the other side of the map, you know, like you said, Olof was getting rolling with the AWP. He was using that quite well, but he was also enabling Rain to be able to go for those pushes in the mid to late round and dismantle a couple of those key plays for Vitality. And it felt like time and time again, when Vitality got dismantled, that they had less and less fight in them as time went on.
It certainly is all coming together for FaZe, but the question always does remain, are they going to be able to back that up map to map? You know, going from Nuke into Overpass, we looked at Vitality and we said they're going to win this series 2-0.
Yep.
And yet then Overpass, they just go completely missing. So you can't really, I think, look at that map and say, oh, FaZe played really, really well there on Overpass, therefore they're going to play really well on Inferno here. In my mind, the jury's out. Like, this is really kind of a toss-up.
This series is just a perfect analogy, really, for how both of these teams have been looking over the last couple of events and the last couple of matches that both of them have played at these events. You know, they're completely hit or miss. Whether they're showing up, you can never really depend. It all depends on the series. It all depends on the day. And sometimes it just depends on the map as well. Like, across both of the two teams' map picks, they just went completely ham.
Well, speaking of the final map, of course, it is Inferno. So let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper into this final map. Again, we take a look first at the two teams on face value, but here's what's more important. And look, both teams obviously play the map a fair bit. Inferno is a pretty common one these days in the pool. 67% for, or well, 66.7%, I guess, for Vitality. Not a bad conversion rate, 53, maybe not quite as good for FaZe, but all in all, not bad numbers on either side.
Yeah, I think Inferno is just going to be that middle of the road map. I think it's going to be quite hard to call. I know it's a map that Vitality have played quite a lot for quite a long time. Shox is obviously a pretty key player for them over towards that B side of the map. They can run the AAWP setup. I think it's going to be a pretty solid one for Vitality to finish, and I'm probably going to back them to actually close out this series, but I can't deny the fact that FaZe are looking pretty on point at the moment so far in this series. Even on Nuke, some of the individuals looked pretty impressive with their potential to multi-frag and just explode in the mid-round and make things happen.
All right, well, time for us to take a quick break. Don't go too far, though. Map 3 coming up after this.
Trying to figure out what we're after. We're never heading back until we're older. We couldn't care no more, not any longer. Under peach yellow skies, we keep on searching, but we will never know what we're after. Baby, leave it all for the faded hearts. I don't mind if they call us crazy, 'cause they don't understand what we're after. We're never heading back until we're older. We couldn't care no more, not any longer. Under peach yellow skies, we keep on searching, but we will never know what we're after.
town. I'm running out of time, and as long as you're mine, I wanna run away. We're never heading back until we're older. We couldn't care no more, not any longer. Under peach yellow skies, we keep on searching, but we will never know what we're after.
Into the final map now between FaZe and Vitality, or just about to be. It's been a pretty crazy series so far. Vitality winning on Nuke, looking pretty comfortable there. FaZe didn't really get it going, and then bam, in comes Overpass, and in comes FaZe. They are just destroying Vitality at the moment, but that could well and truly change going into the third and final map here. I mean, I don't really want to make a call here. I don't feel like there's a way that you can really predict how this final map is going to go. I might as well just toss a coin and there's your answer.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. Why don't we just do that? I mean, honestly,
I don't have a coin.
Yeah, okay, me neither.
Yeah.
End of the day, though, it is pretty coin flippy, and I think that's how it's going to sort of pan out on this third map. I don't expect this to be a close game either. I think it's going to be pretty one-sided. I expect all three of these games to be pretty much blowouts. It's just so surprising that it's happening on each other's map picks. Hate to keep repeating myself. The thing I do want to bring up, though, is this is such an important victory for either one of these teams, because with how inconsistent these teams have been in terms of taking series, being able to get yourself to basically skip an extra series and go straight through to a further spot in the tournament is going to be pretty valuable for either one of these teams in terms of the overall placement, because both of them have been quite inconsistent against some of the better teams in the world.
Yeah, I mean, especially into the semi-final as well on the other side of the bracket than Australis. Definitely going to be a nice prize for the winner of this match. FaZe and Vitality, though. It's FaZe that start on the T side. So I think that's nice for Vitality, to be honest. You know, it gets IEM involved a little bit with the AWP here on CT. RPK traditionally has been a bit better on CT side as well. So for Vitality, they're going to, I think, have the favoured side here. But we'll see what things look like when this pistol round does end up panning out.
Instant four-man push down mid in response by Vitality. They're going to go straight for that retake. You do see Nico in position to try and deal with it.
Not much luck spamming through the smoke there, but Nico, wow, 1 for 1. Thought he might as well double down there, but does just quickly get eliminated by Shocks.
Instant trade. Apex hiding into construction here. See what he can find.
He's in a big position. I don't know that Rain is going to end up checking him, and it turns out, I guess, that he doesn't. Apex gets the kill there. Olafmeister, though, might challenge that. And that is the defuse that doesn't quite work out for Vitality. You could see what they were trying to go for there. A little bit sneaky, but now it puts a lot of work on the shoulders of Apex. And in fact, an unwinnable round here for Vitality, as Apex just has to back away.
It's pretty interesting. I know that the con push came out from FaZe Clan there, but they definitely did have players in the back of the site. And Alex there, instead of dropping the smoke on the bomb and try to ninja defuse in the smoke, he does drop the smoke on coffins, which just allows the freebie to come out. Vitality just not really checking the back of the site. That gives FaZe maybe a little bit easier of a round win than they may have had. Vitality was looking like they could definitely make that retake work. The 1 for 1 down towards Banana. Apex stays alive in con, even finds himself a kill. But from that point in the round, FaZe from those very, very strong positions in the back of the site just absolutely decimate the rest of Vitality.
More pistols have been purchased by Vitality, and we've seen already that they can make that work against FaZe. Lots of utility being used early on in the piece here by FaZe, and it doesn't look like Nico wants to slow down too much. ZywOo, he gets the timing right, and there goes Rain out of the picture for the server. Just for this round, but of course, that is a big benefit for Vitality, and ZywOo gets another one. That's the bomb spotted as well. Brokey finally trades back, but Alex is there to make life even worse for FaZe. It's 2v3. Vitality on the precipice perhaps of winning this round. Zero, though, will make the difference.
Don't know about that one. You obviously have Nico and Cold in the 2-on-4. Can't be counting them out, and they're definitely doing some heavy lifting so far. Another frag for Nico into a 1-on-2 for Alex.
Should be pretty straightforward cleaning up Nico, and it is. But getting Coldzera, a different matter altogether. Although he gets the timing right, and Alex just wide swings around off the bomb side.
No idea what that was from FaZe. They're forcing it up bracket, but they don't hard commit to the site. They're kind of just stuck in no man's land, and for some reason, they don't clear ZywOo out of Boiler. The man is just able to re-peek and pick players who are just pretty much just not looking at them, either of them.
No
just
one was,
freebies for the man, and then I just don't even understand. Even from this position, they should be able to win it, but Alex has just given 2 duels where players aren't really ready for him to swing on them.
Well, that puts Vitality back in the picture a little bit earlier on in the piece. FaZe have elected to buy in, though.
Just charging up mid like that against what you're pretty sure is a force out of Vitality is pretty interesting approach from FaZe. Not really something that you see too often. Usually you see a much slower approach against the anti-force. Sometimes that can be a bad thing if you give the other team too much time to be able to wait out the round with the utility and force you into an awkward position. So maybe that's what FaZe is trying to avoid by that faster bracket play.
Yeah.
Regardless, doesn't work out for them. This round looking like a pretty similar sort of set of circumstances. They are very close up towards that bracket area. They do have that carpet control. Maybe going to go for a bit of a carpet bust here, which will be pressure on towards Alex and RPK. But we saw how strong these guys have been time and time again at holding down that B side of Overpass. Over here on A, they should be doing a pretty good job as well.
RPK, what can he do as the players drop down into pit? Well, just the one for RPK there, but Alex still survives, and he will be the danger man for FaZe. Shox will flash himself out, just takes a peek, sees there's no one behind the smoke, but that doesn't matter. The smoke need not exist, nor will Brokey. It's all off Meister on his own now with a CZ in hand. And not a whole lot of damage has been done in this round, so Olaf would really love to pick up one more kill here. Just to at least make it worth it. Not going to, though. Shox is waiting as the smoke dissipates. 2-1 for Vitality.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty difficult for FaZe to deal with mentally, I would say. That's a pretty one-sided round. They lose the anti-eco in a pretty ridiculous fashion, and then they try to go for this quicker play over towards A, which I have to say has looked pretty disjointed. That second round where they were against the anti-force, it was pretty disjointed. They were called off position out all over the place, and in that round it was more of the same from FaZe. Not looking all on the same page, not looking decisive. Instead, I feel like Vitality is kind of taking advantage of some off-positioning out of FaZe.
Oh, talk about off-positioning here. Alex has just run down mid. FaZe are not even out of T-stairs just yet.
They're having a chat. And their chat will be rudely interrupted very soon.
Still electing to go second mid, which is maybe a little bit more favorable than running down mid at this point. But Vitality have just got so much map control that this should be an easy round for them to clean on up. ZywOo perhaps over-peaking here, but if he hits his shots, he'll get out okay. And that is indeed what occurs. Good round for Vitality, not a gun lost. 1 kill goes over to the SMG. Looking pretty good on the CT side, starting to build things up. No AWP being opted for here by ZywOo just yet.
He's going to stick with what he's got.
It's more of a save round, I guess.
Sort of a bonus, but not really. I mean
they
that
haven't
MP9 is pretty
much.
good.
The thing is, like, they went into the last round with these kind of guns. So, like, you say it's a save round or a bonus round. I guess, yeah, it kind of is, right? Because they haven't had to upgrade any of the weapons because the weapons were already upgraded.
Yeah, but 4 of the guns are still really good, and the MP9 is pretty nuts
still
on
pretty
that
good.
B site.
Yeah.
I mean, Apex is always over towards B, so not going to be surprised to see him put that to good use. It's a 3-man setup over towards B. And there's the banana control in from Vitality. Plenty of information for the lads over there. They're going to refresh that smoke onto bottom banana, and FaZe happy to allow them to have that control, allow them to have that info. With 2 smokes being thrown out there, Shox will be left solo with a full belt of utility to be able to hold on to B for Vitality until the rotations do come out. And the 4 stack on A will ensue from the rest of Vitality as FaZe have taken bracket, they have taken carp rather. They don't have bracket or banana, so they're going to need to take one or the other. It's going to be the former first.
Starting to make their way into brackets here. ZywOo holds the corner. No one pushing to dig just yet from FaZe.
Looking like FaZe are going to itch to try and go for a bit of a retake towards banana. This is looking more and more like it's going to be some kind of B split. Maybe a wrap through CT spawn.
Flash through the smoke though for FaZe, and they're going to push off the back of that. ZywOo waiting. However, Rain does catch him back through the smoke. Still another player there though. for Vitality is going to mean that FaZe now suffer a numbers deficit.
Look at that smoke timing from Shox. Just trusting it as well, playing anti-flash. In towards the pool. coldzera can't even make it through jungle.
It's just one more player left now for FaZe, Olaf Meister. And he was good with the scope on Overpass, but I don't know that he's going to get this one done here. Apex chooses the perfect time to peek as the bomb starts getting put down. And FaZe now really struggling here in the early stages of Inferno.
Yeah, and regardless of how back and forth that was, I mean, I felt like Vitality was on top of that map control most of the time, and FaZe trying to commit through that jungle side, trying to make those duels happen to be able to put Vitality in an awkward position and split the map in half by wrapping through CT, but just couldn't get favorable enough duels and even enough trades to be able to actually make that happen. And with Shox never really pushed off Banana, he still had a bunch of utility to fall back on with like 40 seconds left in the round. It's going to be pretty easy for Vitality to come away with that. I felt like they pushed and pulled the where FaZe couldn't be for most of that round, and they were very much in control the whole time.
And the beauty of this for Vitality is that they can continue to build up the economy.
Yeah, 3 alive.
Yeah, ZywOo's going to keep the MP9. He's going to go through to this round and look to farm up a Storm. FaZe haven't got any armor apart from Rain.
It's pretty much a dream start for Vitality, really, and it all was predicated off of those second and third rounds where FaZe looked completely all over the place.
It is the dream start for Vitality, very similar to what we saw from FaZe on the second map, interestingly enough. But how long could Vitality keep this one going? You've said you thought it was going to be a bit of a blowout. I mean, we're on trajectory to do that, but we've only really seen one gun round, so it's a bit early to call.
Yeah. I think the difference really is that FaZe is showing us more of that indecisiveness that we saw in certain rounds on Nuke, as opposed to just all firing on all cylinders and getting in the face of Vitality on Overpass. Maybe starting out on that T side is a little bit more difficult for this FaZe roster.
Certainly seems so. Oh, Shox. You don't want to be playing with fire like that, Rain.
No. I mean...
Well, how do you get into brackets here, FaZe? Put a smoke down on one side, either dig side or arch side, and then you have to walk in.
Yeah, but every... Ooh, it's actually the progression smoke, but like you said, they can't even get into bracket. Is the rotation off, though, and Shoxy doesn't actually have an incendiary, so...
Yeah, Apex has got to be on the move. I think he might even be a little bit too late here if FaZe do continue the push, but a smoke available for Shox, and he is able to put it down in time, which really does relieve the pressure. FaZe are inevitably going to burst through this, but I think the rotation's coming across just in time for Vitality. Shox there, able to get the first one. Apex here now as well, able to help out. That's a good shot from Rain, but it's too little too late, really. It's a wooden spoon prize. You know, I was going to say a silver lining, but not even a silver lining there.
Oh, this is really, really good. If Brokey can get a couple of kills here and just chip down that economy of Vitality, which is starting to get out of control.
Yeah, but Vitality know it. They're not giving him those opportunities. You know, as soon as he peeks around the corner here, he's got 2 guys posted on the line. An SG there as well. And, I mean, 2 SGs, I guess. RPK will finish it off. 5-1. Vitality keep 3 guns alive again. Yeah, it was a pistol round for FaZe, but I feel like Vitality are negotiating these rounds relatively comfortably.
They definitely are. So this is going to be another opportunity for FaZe to try to get that round on the board. They don't want to be falling too far behind early on here, because as we saw on Nuke, once Vitality starts to put up the wall, once they get that momentum that they're looking for, it's pretty hard to slow them down. It's going to take some of those impact plays from certain players on FaZe to really start to make this happen. See what the approach is going to be from FaZe. Quick smoke onto the top of Nana and towards jungle is going to force out some utility from Vitality on both sides of the map. Looking like they're going to leave ZywOo over towards B. Pretty nicely timed grenade from Alex. This man chips away so much damage with HE grenades on every single map. Such thoughtful utility usage time and time again. Interesting to see what kind of utility Vitality is using over towards that A-bomb site. It was actually a double molly on towards Carpet. That's a duel that Brokey just gets for free without a single smoke being dropped.
Oh, ZywOo is going to start stepping up here. He's got the AWP in his hand, 6 HP, as he dives out of the Molotov straight into the sightlines of Nico and Brokey, but it does not matter.
It's FaZe. I mean, I guess once Brokey got that kill, it's, FaZe can go and take that duels, but the rest of the team is nowhere near.
See you later. RPK's gotten 2, and he might even get the third one here onto coldzera. I think he's got a suspicion, and he does. Doesn't quite connect all the shots. Good damage done, though. Coldzera could be a bit of a menace here in the 1v4, which now turns into a 1v3. Beat the corner straight into 2 guys. And that seems to be, I think, the metaphor for how this game is going. Every single time someone on FaZe is peeking an angle, there's 2 Vitality players watching it.
Yeah, that round all could have fallen apart, though. I mean, when it works, it looks unstoppable from FaZe when they could take duels on multiple different fronts across the map. So that round in particular, you saw those 2 players fighting Banana at the same time, deep into the B-bomb site, taking those duels. And let's face it, ZywOo was very, very low. They could have secured that frag and potentially got themselves the round if they were able to do it, but ZywOo steps up, he multi-frags, he gets both of those kills, and from that point in the round, FaZe is so far behind. This round, not the same story, though. They've got themselves the opening frag.
Yeah, Vitality just trying to change things up a little bit, and FaZe, well, they're still good enough to punish Vitality for that. The question, though, becomes, can they consolidate and convert this round?
Flash up bracket. Are they going to try and burst through this jungle area?
Oh, ZywOo getting the timing almost right. In fact, I think he did get the timing right, but now has to hit some shots, and he is hitting them indeed. ZywOo gets 3. And Shocks trades out Coldzera. ZywOo, the hero of the round. I mean, you could really see it coming.
Trying to burst through jungle and get the wrap over towards B and send Brokey up Banana late to try and catch that B player who may reposition into Banana, as we often see. But when the first part of the push doesn't bear any fruit and ZywOo is shooting your entire team, doesn't really matter where Brokey is.
Okay. 1v2 for Brokey.
Okay.
What?
Whoa.
Never mind that. It's a 1v1 now.
He's well aware RPK is an A-site player here.
Oh! That was way too close for comfort. Still has to retrieve the bomb. RPK hasn't pushed through the smoke just yet, but the smoke will fade shortly. That could be Brokey's opportunity.
Is RPK going to use some more utility here?
Oh!
Doesn't need to.
Well, that's a bit of a brow wiper for RPK there.
Oh, got so close there. That's what I sort of thought might be happening for Brokey the other time where the bomb was dropped over towards B and he found that first frag. I've seen that man multi-frag and win so many key clutches. You know, might be a rookie player, but he's definitely capable of doing it. And that was one of those situations where it definitely could have happened.
Jeez. Well, timeout here for FaZe. I think it's about time as well. That round, a little bit unfortunate indeed. But you can't really expect Brokey to win the 1v3. Need to do something about ZywOo, up 11-5 right now. His scoreline. So, see what the option is going to be here for FaZe. It looks like it's a half buy, pistol armor, little thing here and there.
Yeah, we know how dangerous they can be with these pistols, so why not go for a bit of a half investment? You've got the full loss bonus backing you up anyway. Give yourself a reasonable chance at winning the round. Old mate Brokey's going to buy himself a Krieg. If you've got the money to do so, why not? And Vitality, I mean, they've still got the money to back themselves up. Like we said, it's the dream start. Even if they lose one gun round here, they could potentially buy up. Once again, following that, early utility usage from Vitality, trying to keep FaZe out of position. ZywOo needs to get the hell out of there.
He does. Lots of pistols heading in his direction, and sometimes that's not too fun as an AWPer.
So again, FaZe has got this bracket control, but what do they do with it? Again, they've lost Banana, and they've had a really tough time retaking Banana until the late round. Definitely not something that they're going to have an easy time doing here with the limited utility and lack of long-range weapons that they have. So it's looking like this is going to be an A-site hit. Probably a wrap through jungle, considering they have a lack of players in towards Carp.
Lots of players over towards A, though, for Vitality. So this will be a difficult one for FaZe to get rolling. Here comes the utility. The smoke's going over to Pit. Got a player in Graveyard, though, and Apex this time not able to do what ZywOo was able to. Alex, however, has got the triple, and ZywOo finishes off a couple more. Both players from roughly the same position, and the result pretty similar as well.
That was actually a pretty good strat from FaZe, I have to say. They throw the wall of smokes over towards Pit, and they only send Cold out there, and you can never really be sure, particularly with the chimney flashes coming over and the whole wall of smoke, how many players are actually making it into the Pit there, and then they just walk towards jungle. But Vitality, they have a player in Library, they have a player in Arch, they have a player in Moto. Up against a strat like that, where you're expecting the attention to be drawn away from those A players, that they're going to be playing on site, making sure that no one can come out of Pit there.
Yeah.
Wasn't the case for Vitality. They were set up for that perfectly.
Where do you turn to now for FaZe? A bit of control into Banana, perhaps. HE Nade will tickle Nico. Vitality don't look like they're prepared to give this one up just yet. We'll be seeing a re-aggression here from Apex, and Nico's prepared for it, but Apex just goes one better. A trade from Brokey.
It's a 1-for-1, which is a good situation for FaZe to be in, but if they force the issue and lose more players over here towards Banana, looks like Vitality doesn't want to be giving it up, then all their hard work will be for nothing. It's a bit of a standoff on both sides of the map, but Zaiwu doesn't wait for anyone.
Oh, he's missed that shot. Unbelievable. You don't see it too often. Could have been a different story had he hit that, because Brokey would have just been traded then by Shox.
And that's the kill that ends the round pretty much for Rain. He finds the timing to sneak through jungle onto Alex there, which is going to allow FaZe to get active.
Oh, you say that, but it's RPK that's still on the A-bomb side here, so let's see if FaZe can deal with the tank. It's been pretty good so far today. There's one. A good start for RPK. Going to call the rotation across here for Shox, and just the smoke coming up in time to save those FaZe players. But now Shox gets behind Olofmeister. The round certainly is not over yet.
That nade as well. Straight on top of him.
Olofmeister down, and it's just coldzera left alive now in the 1v2. Seen him win from situations like this before, but desperately needing it now is FaZe as Vitality work to clear out the bomb side. RPK spots him, Shox on the other angle, nothing he can do.
They can't catch a break, Jordan. Every single round going the way of Vitality, whether it's in convincing fashion, whether it's in these close 3v3 situations. In that case, it was a 2-on-3. That round, that should have been over right there. As soon as Rain gets this kill here, there is limitless possibilities for FaZe. But just that one player in the pit, it's exactly like you said. You have a player in a really, really strong position like the pit there who could just reposition, take multiple angles. It's sometimes hard to deal with that.
Yeah, and he just gets the timing perfect there as well for RPK. It's just not a fight that he's going to lose, because it's not even really a fight. It's a pick really more than anything.
Yeah.
Either way, Vitality's up 9-1. Money's looking phenomenal. We're getting to the late stages of the half, and FaZe really just can't get anything done. Starting off the round with another player down, 4v5.
Oh, the nades as well. They're just taking so much chip damage. And again, they're just trying to force these duels onto the B site. And they're not trading out effectively. Always, they're just getting the one kill, but it's that last player left on B that cleans up the rest of them.
Yeah, this time it's Shox. He's got that second AWP. He had a good time secondary AWPing yesterday against Tyloo. A bit of a different ball game against a team like FaZe, but still the same result.
Time and time again, FaZe are trying to rely on the fact that they're going to trade out favorably, and they just haven't been. Every single time, it's Brokey and Nico forcing these fights over towards B, while everyone else is still in sort of more of a default setup. And they're just not winning the duels, Jordan. And when you're not winning the duels with the style that FaZe is playing, it looks silly.
Yeah.
You know, it looks like two guys are just going over there, trying to make something happen without the rest of the team backing it up. I mean, look, the overall explanation behind it is they're trying to force the duels on one part of the map so that they can force a rotation and create an opening that someone else can exploit on a different part of the map. And all of these FaZe players are capable of reading those rotations. But if you're not winning the duels that you need to be doing, it's not going to cause those rotations. You're going to be losing overall. You're going to be down man advantages.
Look how many tack pauses FaZe have called in this first half. Yeah, they're trying to do something, you know. They're trying to get their way back into this. It's not for lack of trying, that's for sure. But Vitality are putting up the brick wall here on third map.
I think FaZe needs all four of these, to be honest. I think once it's 11 for Vitality, it's probably too far gone at that point.
Do you not feel it's already too far gone?
No, I think if FaZe can turn this around and get it to 5, then there's really a talking point. 5 and a pistol, and you can get your economy rolling on CT.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
You can forget about it. Because let's face it, Vitality, they haven't really been tested, I don't think, by FaZe. I don't think FaZe has been winning enough of those tools to really make their style work. And Vitality's just had limitless amounts of money, which is exactly what you want on this CT side. A quick one straight into B.
Shox is going to miss the shot, but there's 3 players over here on this side of the map. Rain charges through the incendiary. Rotation's going to come across from the Vitality players, but Apex, he doesn't need it. There's enough damage already on this B bomb site as Nico now starts to look like there's going to get something done on the bomb site. Deagle comes out. He's gotten 2. He's lost his teammate, though. Olaf Meister's down. And it's another 1v3 for another FaZe player.
If there was a time for them to win one, this would be it. I know it's only a half buy, but I feel like they need all 4 of these rounds. 5-10 half.
See what Nico can give to us. Shox goes down easily. He was 5%. Now there's an SG for Nico. He starts to get peaked. And, he just needed to hit that shot into ZywOo, didn't he? If he would have done that, it was doable.
Catches the shoulder instead of the head. It's not good enough for Nico. Unfortunately, you try to ask too much from him.
Yep. It's unfortunate though, right? Nico is the kind of player that could win that fight, but even despite the fact that he came into this match as the top-rated player in this event so far,
probably won't be leaving it as that.
Exactly. Hasn't been able to make that kind of an impact. I mean, it's all across. I don't want to put it on just one guy. It's all across for FaZe here.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, if you're that superstar, you need to step up, and unfortunately, it's not happening right now for FaZe. Could be coldzera, could be Nico, could be Olaf, could be anyone, really.
Forget about Nico.
But it's no one. And for Vitality, they're all chipping in really, really nicely as a roster.
Yep. It's consistency across the board. Man, what a series this has been. Just blowout after blowout. FaZe, how do they win this 4-on-5? They look lost right now. They have carpet control. Good luck trying to get bracket when you got 3 players all on jungle, ready to fight for that, ready to stop you taking map control anywhere. And Shox has been holding like a rock on the CT side over here towards B. Again, he's got a full belt of utility to fall back on. Interesting to see him actually drop the molly there.
He's got spider sensors.
Oh, he didn't want to force Brokey into that one.
Well,
and it's surprising that Brokey's not going to push forward. I mean...
Oh, ZywOo just misses the shot and Apex goes down as well.
What are we seeing from Vitality? What is this? This isn't necessary, Jordan.
Might come back to cost them. So, surely be around for FaZe.
I mean, I feel like they pushed mid because they felt like Shox went down. He was solo on the bomb site, but FaZe didn't have the same read as Vitality did, you know? They had no idea that Shox was solo there. They didn't force the issue straight onto B. Regardless, though, I mean, I feel like that round was more so Vitality sort of throwing it away than it was FaZe earning it. Brokey in particular, though, really did.
Yeah, he opened it up.
He opened it up with that really, really sharp shot. But from that point, Vitality, I felt like just walking it down mid. Usually, you know, that's inting in League of Legends, but, you know.
Money's not going to be a problem for Vitality, though. So there is that to fall back on. Even next round, they'll have a good buy if they lose here. Orb's back in the hands of ZywOo, but not Shox. Just a single Orb this time on the CT side. Maybe a saving grace for Vitality. I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, FaZe, they need both of these. Goes without saying they're already in a pretty rough circumstances. Brokey's going to cop a hell of a nade there in towards B. Apex getting the retake banana utility ready. He's going to throw it out. Smoke onto the half wall. Molotov onto the barrels. He's going to force old mate Nico forward.
Oh,
down he goes.
Timing at its finest. Apex would have got that if it wasn't Shox. Either way, Nico's dead.
I mean, what do you even do, really? He's Smoke's going to cut off the rest of his teammates. Molly on top of him, and he gets flashed. Oh my god, Apex just walks straight down banana. Full information for Vitality. There's no way they lose this round.
Oh, that would have been the way. He only gets a 1-for-1 there.
All right, that makes it a little bit messier. This is going to spread the CTs a little bit thinner. This creates some gaps that FaZe can potentially abuse, but they need to find the openings here.
How many gaps are there, really? ZywOo doesn't want to move, and he does, and actually he wins the aim duel. You'd back Rain on that one.
Now Shox drops his Molotov. He's going to drop a smoke behind it and play in front. Cold's got a flash. Molly on new box. Flash goes over. If this catches Shox, then we're talking about a maybe.
A maybe. Well,
but I think it's going to be a flash on the roof, which is not going to get him. Yeah.
Already ZywOo coming across as well in the CT spawn, so he'll be a fast rotate. coldzera's on his own against 4. I mean, you talked about the possibilities there, the chances for FaZe to come back into that round, but not a single one really stuck. Yeah. Even when Vitality took the push, even when Apex went down, you thought, oh, look, maybe there's a chance here.
You could take exactly what you just said and repeat it for the majority of the rounds in this half.
Yeah.
There's been some openings, but overall Vitality's been playing very solidly, And there's never been a single round where Vitality has lacked money, and that's one of the big ways that a T-side can string together rounds on Inferno. You need to force the CTs into a position where they can't afford full utility. They can't afford those Molotovs to be able to take the banana control that they've had every single time. You can't allow Shocks to be able to just play solo on that B bomb site. They've never been forced on an eco. Every single round has been FaZe playing up against a full buy of Vitality.
Alex, I mean, I can understand why he tries to keep that challenge going. You probably could have found 2 there on any other day. But FaZe have been given a little bit of a respite now with a player lost early on the side of Vitality.
I mean, that's been the main way FaZe has been finding a lot of these openings, has just been the aggression from Vitality in one form or another, and FaZe punishing some of it. Can't guarantee the round even now for FaZe, especially with Apex in a position like this. The man's still got a smoke to fall back on. He's holding on to that banana control, full information. Vitality, it's aggression into middle. ZywOo, if he picks the timing with this AWP, could be a freebie for him, and then potentially an overextension that RPK can punish. Here we go, the retake on Banana.
Oh, Apex is getting tagged by that molly. He's not happy about that, I'm sure.
No.
And now he's in a real spot of bother as he starts to make his way back into the site.
Progression smoke out of A. Hate cart and onto jungle, but without a single player stepping into bracket. Vitality's not just going to sit and wait around.
Yeah, ZywOo not checking boiler at all there.
Oh.
Rain actually gets 2. There was a chance for 3.
That's job done for him, though.
Yeah, it is pretty much. Unless for some reason Apex just sprays every single one of these players down, the round is going to go the way of FaZe. Smoke starting to fade. Not a lot of time here for FaZe. Mistakes can happen.
God.
There's 2. But he was up on top of the coffin rather than behind it, and that's what's been his undoing.
Shox
Still,
doesn't have a kit.
well, it does still put Shox into a position where he can win this round.
Maybe he can pick one up.
I'm sure there would be one somewhere on this B site. 2 players went down there.
It's pretty
sorry, only
difficult
one.
crossfire to deal with, though. Dark corner and Nana.
Well, you say that, but if he can sneak past at the timing, I mean, Nico's not watching it right now.
There's a kit.
There is indeed. HE nade goes into dark, but Nico does peek at the right time. So there you go. Easy done for FaZe in the final round, but as a half as a whole, 12-3, really tough going.
Absolutely. I would be very, very surprised if they can come back into this one. All 3 of these maps have been massive blowouts, and Vitality are looking primed to grab that semi-final position.
Indeed they are. That's going to be coming up, of course, after this break.
Show me an opening in the clouds, and I'll take it. Yeah. Reminding myself to just let go. Don't wonder how far I can fall. Don't look down, never fade out. And I just wanna be someone and never fall behind again. Just keep on moving on. Never look down, never fade out. Never fade out.
Well, we're heading into the final half now of Vitality and FaZe, and I can tell you what, it is looking like it will be Vitality through to the semi-finals, but who am I to say? FaZe, of course, going to need the pistol round to start this half off if they are hoping to mount any kind of a comeback.
Yeah, they're always sharp on those USPs, so that would be a good way to get themselves started. I have to say, though, if Vitality pick up this T-side pistol, I mean, forget the scoreline. On the CT side, you really need to get that money rolling to be able to get the full utility that you need to grab banana control and be able to play Inferno the way that most of the teams do play it nowadays. So if Vitality grab that pistol, I feel like FaZe will never really have the room to build up an economy solid enough to be able to mount a comeback.
Well, it's do or die now for FaZe then. Much the same as what we saw in the last map, with Vitality, though, being the team that has the advantage. They were able to string a few rounds together before they went down on Overpass. We'll see if FaZe can do the same.
Quick jungle and Moto smokes, and it's just straight up deep, probably a molly straight into pit.
Vitality definitely feeling it. They're going to push straight into pit. Olofmeister hits one good headshot, and now we're going to need to see that from Rain. Again, one decent shot from Rain. I mean, it's just not enough, unfortunately. 3v3 on this bomb site. The position of Shocks is just way too powerful. That is clean. And there goes Brokey. Now it's a 2 versus 3. coldzera and Nico, though, always a chance.
The kit's in pit, though. They have to literally retake pit to be able to grab that, and then the bomb's planted in the back of the site.
Well, coldzera starting to wrap around the back of Library. Nico kind of has to make his move now, or very, very quickly. coldzera's got a good position, has now been spotted out and gets one. But Nico's down in the meanwhile, and that basically confirms it's impossible for coldzera because he's just not going to be able to get into the pit, get the bomb. So,
didn't even have enough time. Don't know if that was an intentional plant for Vitality, but you know, it's just too much time elapsing. By the time that they're able to grab that kit out of pit and be able to run back to the backside of the site and defuse the bomb, probably wasn't happening unless, like you said, coldzera and Nico were going to be able to dive straight into the site and rip off one or two heads very quickly there. So that's Vitality grabbing the pistol. You're going to see FaZe go for the Force here in response. If this doesn't work out for them, they're going to be looking at a very similar scoreline, probably either a single save and try to chase 12 rounds consecutively, or potentially go for a very similar Force to the one you're seeing in this round. But regardless, it never really gets any easier for FaZe Clan here.
No, it does not. Have to win the round here, I think. Anyway, Vitality not giving too many opportunities, as I say that. Nico's just pegged Alex in the head with the deagle. Not even sure how he's done that. Either way, 4 players alive for Vitality. Maybe a retrievable gun for FaZe as well if they can take control of T-stairs.
Did grab that banana control, and oh my god, Brokey caught completely out of position, solo on the B-bomb site, and that's Vitality winning the round.
Yep, thank you very much.
How does that happen? How is that even a possibility?
So we'll see a bit more cash being built up here by Vitality as well. Apex has got the Mac 10. We see some kills go his way.
Oh, come on, mate. You're already winning the round. Do you really need to, Apex?
+1 point for killing the chickens.
Oh, okay. Deathmatch.
Yeah.
Like a bit of Valve deathmatch to you?
Oh, yeah, I'm a fan.
Okay, Boomer.
You're really going to throw me under the bus like that?
Well,
huh. That's nice.
Nice exits, but, you know.
They can get those guns. Should get blown in their direction.
That's right.
What are we going to scrounge here as FaZe?
Oh, Mac 10, great.
Oh,
I thought Olofmeister was already just going to chuck that away, and he's like, I don't need this garbage. But he does.
Why not? You know, if you get a kill with it, build a bit of money up. Doesn't hurt.
I mean, yeah. They need everything that they can get, literally.
Exactly, yeah.
They're going to go for another buy here.
Got to scrounge it together.
Nothing's working for FaZe, though. All right, trying to scrap together another pretty lackluster buy here. Let's see if FaZe can make it work. Another pretty slow approach in from Vitality. Just going to wait out this utility usage. Just spam straight through the smoke from 3 of the players. Almost kills those FaZe players. Both teams taking excessive amounts of damage from utility and the spam through the smoke. But all things considered, FaZe grabbed that banana control, and Vitality, regardless, are going to bide their time. Never thought about taking that area. Said they're just going to wait out the smokes, wait for some potential pushes. You got Shox posted up in apartment there. Interesting to see that they don't go for bracket after losing that banana control, which probably indicates that they're going to retake this banana control pretty quickly as soon as this smoke does dissipate. Force the rotations to be a bit more honest, and maybe even just straight up go for a B execute. See Nico getting a little bit antsy, trying to go for a bit of a push, trying to find some kind of unfair advantage, because let's face it, FaZe, they're running out of utility.
Coldzera's lining up a flash here for Brokey. Let's see what he can do off the back of it. Vitality had their backs turned. It doesn't matter. Brokey gets both.
Still, though, Vitality's in a favorable spot.
Not sure about that, though. Rain still holding on the balcony. And ZywOo, how's he going to get the kill here with a Mac 10 and 14 HP? Doesn't matter.
What is that?
The Galil, the power from Shox.
Utility still here for Vitality as well. It's going to be a smoke onto Moto, and they're going to set up for the post plant. What? ZywOo, how does he know?
All Coldzera has to do is just spam a little bit in the smoke there, and he gets himself a kill. So low for Coldzera and Brokey, though. I mean, Shox can surely win the round here just with the Molotov. FaZe don't have a smoke to put down on the bomb.
So yeah.
That'll be the end of one. Now it's on to Shox. This will be the insurance fund, even if he does lose the fight. The round is going to go the way of Vitality. 15 is up, match point, and semi-finals point on the board now for Vitality.
Dear Lord. Even though Brokey gets the 2 over there towards Banana, Vitality still wins the duels over towards bracket. And it's just good enough trades. The round's on a knife's edge, but overall, you could talk about these XVX situations going the way of Vitality. They won a lot of those clutches in the earlier parts of the CT side to really get rolling, and they're still continuing to do so on this T side. If you're winning the one-sided rounds and you're winning the close rounds, I guess you're winning all the rounds.
In theory. Oh, ZywOo spots out Coldzera. Brokey going to go for the trade, or at least to try and help out, but does not matter. RPK smashes them both in the face. And that, I think, is where we're going to see Vitality bring up 16.
Oh, man. What a absolute blowout. There's just...
it doesn't stop, does it?
There's literally no consistency between either of these two teams, but Vitality's going to be slightly more consistent. They're going to grab themselves this semi-final spot.
Yeah, they are indeed. Olafmeister, the last bastion of hope for FaZe, and that'll be that. 16-3. Vitality 2-1 FaZe and put their way into the semi-finals. They do it pretty easily there as well. I mean, Nuke was comfortable. Inferno certainly was comfortable as well. Bit of a hiccup on Overpass, of course, but all things considered, not a bad game from Vitality.
Definitely not. So earning themselves that semi-finals spot, and we'll see how they definitely go in the rest of the tournament.
Of course, it's going to be a quick break from us, guys. We'll be back with some post-match analysis after this.
Credit to Eds, who did the unthinkable to take down world number 2. Comebacks in all fashions, but you can't mess with greatness. You can't mess with history.
It's called the biggest esports event on the planet for a reason.
The pounding heart of esports beats louder here in Katowice.
Hansel's strength, I think he know what he wants and he pursue it until he got it.
We can expect more from him because he always loved Counter-Strike.
I think he is the best Counter-Strike player in Asia and in the world for me as his friend. I think he is the best player in the world.
So this is it. This is where it all started. The great business of DHL.
You remember when we still use these?
We have all come a long way since then.
Hey, Effie, my little buddy. We got a special job for you. And this is only the beginning.
I was dancing on my own when you spilled that ramen coke on my t-shirt. Yeah, your eyes made it difficult to get my baby. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high pitch feel, baby. We shared a cigarette, that is first sight. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby, you make me feel something. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. You give me that high pitch feel, baby. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline. Ooh, you give me that high pitch feel, baby. We shared a cigarette, that is first sight. The way you looked at me, couldn't say goodbye. And whatever you did to make it stop, 'cause baby, you make me feel something. And the next thing I knew, we were so ready to give in, skin to skin on that baseline.
Intel Extreme Masters is brought to you in part by Intel, Acer Predator, DHL, and Mountain Dew Amp Game Fuel.
Well, that'll be that for Vitality and FaZe. It's 2-1 going the way of Vitality. FaZe not quite able to cut the mustard today against the squad from France. I've got one question for everyone that's on the stream, Pilly. What are you doing here? We've got no more games on this stream. I tell you what you should be doing right now is heading over to ESL CSGO. ESL_CSGO is where 100 Thieves and ENCE are currently playing. That's currently happening right now. You don't want to miss that. For now, we're just going to be breaking down what happened here and what is going to happen over on the main stream later on if you're interested in that. But Pilly, obviously a good day for Vitality. They'll be happy to mark their spot into the semi-final, into playoffs. And obviously on the opposite side of the bracket to Astralis as well, which is a bit of a bonus.
Yeah, definitely. And that is going to put us into another situation where we have a potential rematch for a semi-final spot for the second time. Obviously, you have that already with ENCE rematching 100 Thieves.
Yep.
So now you're going to see the exact same thing with FaZe and EG.
Definitely potential for that. Well, it is. It's confirmed, essentially. FaZe, I don't know how they'll be feeling going into that, to be honest. You know, after this game, it did, as you've already said, sort of feel a little bit streaky for FaZe. Like, sometimes they were hot, sometimes they were cold. I mean, EG is definitely not a team that you're going to be as keen to face twice in a row as I would say, like, for example, 100 Thieves would be pretty happy to face ENCE twice in a row, I think. But for FaZe, you know now that you have to face against EG. I don't know that you'd be too keen on playing that game again.
I don't think so. I think EG probably looked a little bit too flat in that series in particular. And although it's not necessarily something that you can anti-strat, FaZe's style is definitely something that the more you play against it, the more you can sort of try to prepare for it and adjust your game style to be able to deal with exactly how they play as an opponent overall. And the more that you play against that, the easier it's going to be to deal with it, although you still can sometimes not account for the fact that Cold Sear is just going to kill your whole team from time to time.
Indeed. I mean, what's the outlook now for Vitality, though? I think they showed a pretty reasonable performance here today against FaZe, but going into those semi-finals, do you see them making it through to the grand final, or what's the outlook?
If Old Mates Vitality go through, I'd probably say they're pretty much job done at this point. I'd say they'd probably be in for a semis in a tournament like this.
They should be facing 100 Thieves, would make sense, right? So 100 Thieves would go down to the bottom side of the bracket, and then FaZe or EG would go up to face
I think
Astralis.
that's actually going to be a pretty good match, to be honest. I don't know who I would really tip coming out ahead of that one. I think it actually 100% just depends on how Vitality performs.
Yeah.
I think 100 Thieves is probably going to be about at the same sort of level. If Vitality's hot or cold, that's going to depend.
Rein this in a little bit. We're talking like 100 Thieves have already made it through.
Yeah,
they haven't yet.
That's true.
They're actually currently playing against ENCE.
That's the Aussie bias.
That's
just
definitely
coming out beautifully.
You know, people in chat have been saying bias casters all day. I mean, I don't really care who wins between FaZe and Vitality. I do have a little bit of bias towards 100 Thieves, so throw it at me.
Why are we even talking about any of these games, though? Hasn't 100 Thieves already won the tournament?
Oh, I mean, they may as well have, right?
I'm pretty sure they have. So
basically the best team in the world.
Why are we even playing any of these games? Just send them the prize money.
Send them the prize money, send them the spots, wherever they need to go, and give them the Grand Slam win as well, I think.
I think so.
Anyway, look, obviously, still a fair bit to think about when it does come to the rest of this tournament. I mean, Astralis, they looked pretty good from what we saw yesterday, but also we didn't really get to see them challenge too hard. They played against Vici, which they sort of knocked over pretty easily, as was the expectation. Then you go up against 100 Thieves, which, let's be honest, even though we are the Aussie casters, even though we do like to be a little bit biased, I don't think is going to be the strongest competition that Astralis will have to face at this event.
No, probably not. You'd probably be looking at an EG for that. I think if EG goes out in a semi or something like that, I mean, I think they would be going up against Astralis if they make it there, right? You know, at the end of the day, I think EG has to be the team to beat Astralis.
Yeah.
If EG don't do it, I mean, you already saw it from the previous matchup 100 Thieves had with them. They're not going to do it. I don't think Vitality's consistent enough to do it against Astralis at the moment, so I feel like EG is really the only potential for that to happen. However, EG is pretty up and down, so if they find a way to beat Astralis, then maybe the team that comes through from the other matchup, whoever that might be, might have a bit of a chance to actually beat EG there.
Well, you've been talking a lot about EG. Let's go ahead and check out the results of that group as well. This is Group B, and EG haven't really gone the way that they would have wanted to. They'd have liked the 2-0 that Vitality ended up getting. Does put FaZe and EG up against each other. So, as you say, it is another rematch for those two teams. That's the match that's going to be coming up after the current one on the mainstream. So that's on ESL_CSGO. Again, if you're interested, we don't have any more matches today here on the B stream. Everything else from now on is going to be on the mainstream. For me, I don't know whether I can call that one going one way or another. Like FaZe, obviously, the history's there. They did just win that game yesterday against EG. But are they going to be consistent enough to do it again today?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like EG, that's like the biggest like the hardest game for them almost. I feel like it's almost harder than them taking on Astralis, to be honest, because it seems like the group stages where they sort of falter, and once they make it through to the playoffs, they're pretty consistent at being able to actually have a really good placement in the tournament.
All right, well, let's look at the playoffs bracket as well. You've heard us sort of having our conjecture and talking about how it could end up. This is how it is currently sitting. Astralis up on the top side, Vitality on the bottom side, and it's either EG or FaZe to play against Astralis, and Vitality awaiting the current result between 100 Thieves and ENCE. Now, if it goes the way we expect, what are we going to say? Astralis, EG, and Vitality, 100 Thieves?
Yeah, I would probably be saying that. And then I'd probably be saying it particularly off the back of the new org and the Aussie bias and all of the factors collectively.
Right.
If 100 Thieves don't make it to the grand final here, that's another opportunity gone missing, similar to the situation at the Major when they had a Vanguard. They drew a Vanguard. It's potentially, because of how inconsistent Vitality looks, potentially going to be an opportunity missed.
I definitely think that's a more winnable game for them than,
for
than the
sure.
Astralis
You
one.
don't want to go up against EG or Astralis at the moment. That's the teams you want to avoid.
And obviously they've had their best performance, which was the Major at a large international tournament, was making top 4. So they have a good chance of doing that again here today.
Yep.
And then they'll look to try and go further and make it into that grand final. So there is still a fair bit to sort of talk about. Even if, we get into that grand final, if it was to be, let's say, Astralis and 100 Thieves, I'd say that's probably a fairly lackluster grand final. I think that kind of gets over by 2-0. But that's still a good performance from 100 Thieves. They'll be happy to make it to the grand final.
Yeah, I would say that. I would 100% agree. But unfortunately, when Astralis is in domination mode and when they're having their time in the sun, we often do see a lot of one-sided grand finals. It just happens all the time. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was going to be the case.
Yeah, certainly indeed. Well, that is all from us here on the B Stream. Thank you so much for joining us over the past couple of days. I'm going to say that you should head over to ESL_CSGO. That's where the mainstream is. That's where all of the action for the rest of IEM Beijing is going to be. Have a good one.
Sitting on a bench, waiting for the time to pass, dreaming of what happens next. I see what I want to be, questioning my destiny, only knowing what I see. I don't even realize I've already and I can feel any time at the end, can't take it back. I know what I want, but it seems so damn far away. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh. I know I am not with those who dream like me. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh. I know I am not with those who dream like me. Say you wanna be someone. You got a voice, then you better use it. Tell yourself day after day it's time to prove it. No days off, keep the hustle moving. Wanna see you be what you want it to be, prove it. I know I sound crazy to the ones who said oh.
Seems like I can't get away from the hot sun. Always night and never day. Even when I wash the floor, the dust still comes. Keep on hunting for the bread. No matter how lost, need no light, no spark. I'm in line mode. With my eyes closed, I can see in the dark. I'm a quiet storm, far from calm. I know you feel me, brother. Seems like I